Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of a Muppet Moment. Today is an awesome big episode for us because we just got back from MOMI weekend in New York City. If you don't know, Museum of the Moving Image celebrates Jim Henson's birthday every single year with a big walk through Central Park, a party at the museum, a party at a bar after the museum. It's an amazing time, and Will and I just both went there, and it was insane. We're gonna break down every single thing that we did that weekend, all the people we saw, all the cool Muppet shit that we did. I'm so excited. I'm like jumping into this intro because I'm rare and this was the best weekend ever.
Rightfully so. No, it was such an incredibly exciting time. I do think it is worth mentioning though. So, a Muppet Moment, while is currently in its infancy, has been in the cards for a hot minute. I think as we touched on it a little bit in our last episode, we have been kind of like plotting and scheming, and our big plan was to get our first episode recorded while we were physically together in New York.
We
However,
tried.
it was not for lack of trying. It got to the point where we had free time to be able to do it. We had crammed so much into this weekend already. It was not gonna happen. It was not in the cards.
No.
Not a chance.
I literally was going into this trip thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna do all this different stuff in New York. I have all these plans, all these places I want to eat. But truly, Muppet Weekend was one of the most packed weekends I've ever experienced in my entire life. I don't care if this sounds corny. It was a life-changing weekend. It was just absolutely incredible in every capacity. And I am very excited to just get into the thick of it, just break down all of these things that we did, because a lot of people were not able to go to Muppet Weekend. Muppet Weekend is this huge, huge event where people from all over the world go to it. But if you missed out on it, I understand some FOMO. And this podcast episode, in my mind, I want to treat this as a way to take you back to Muppet Weekend with us, to experience the things we experienced, to relive all of the things we got to do, and hopefully you get to feel like you were there with us.
Truly, truly. We're going to give you as much of an accurate play-by-play as possible because listen, as somebody who is international in terms of most of the Muppet stuff that happens, trust me, fear of missing out, it's real. I know how it feels. Take it from somebody who's watched a few Muppet Meets happen this year from a phone screen. I completely understand exactly how it feels to kind of like, oh, wish I was there. And obviously, it's a thing where there was quite a few Muppet people who were fully intending to be there that had to, for one reason or another, drop out. And obviously, these kind of events, we wish we could bring everybody, but we kind of recognize that we were in an immensely fortunate position to be able to do this, like at all.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
was, yeah, because sometimes with stuff like this, the price ramps up a little bit with things like Muppet Vision. It's like that's a Disney ticket you're getting in there. That's
Yeah.
travel to Florida if you're out of state or out of country. Like it,
Just shoot
we
your
were.
wallet immediately. Like
Oh
trying to
yeah,
go to Momi and Disney, like insane.
I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I didn't fully ruin myself
Yeah, I
to
put myself into generational debt. No, I'm kidding. I did
my
ruin myself a little bit financially, but we don't need to get into all the specifics.
my grandchildren one day are going to be talking about why can't we afford a proper hot meal? And it's like, well, your fucking gramps really wanted to go see Kermit Frog in a glass box.
Here's the thing.
And
Kermit Frog was big. I mean, he wasn't as big as he was even a while ago, but he was big enough for me that you don't have a college tuition, you don't have a house, you
yeah.
don't have food, you don't have anything, because I had to see Kermit.
I will never own land or property in my lifetime, but I got to go to a city where everything's a little bit too big and
Oh
look
yeah.
at really old puppets in glass
Oh,
boxes.
look at
And you
these
know what?
puppets.
I don't regret it for a second. You won't catch me regretting that for a second.
Yeah,
But
obviously, I'm so excited to get into Momi Weekend and get into this whole thing. But I appreciate you talking about I appreciate your perspective on everything because I understand this is a huge privilege to be able to go to an entire Muppet themed weekend and stay at a house with a bunch of friends who are all into the Muppets. Like, I understand that that is definitely a privilege. And I hope this podcast episode serves as like an encouraging thing for you if you have not gone to a Muppet meetup to go. Make some, like, come hang out with everyone. Everyone is so incredible. You're going to be surrounded by people who are just as passionate about your special and niche interests. It's the best time. And like, if you were ever thinking of going to one or you felt left out because you didn't get to go to this one, there will be tons of Muppet events here next year in the future. There's going to be tons going on, and I really encourage you to go because it is truly the best time ever.
Absolutely, absolutely. And while this is as much for folks who didn't get to attend, for all of the folks who joined us, this is going to be a kind of memory lane thing. I know it
Yes,
was
it
literally
is.
less, at time of recording, literally less than a month since we were all hanging out and going and getting the slice together. So
Ugh.
this is going to be a fun little recent memory lane.
This is
But
like definitely the episode where I'm just gonna have the most fun, just like reminiscing and just being super happy because, like, yeah, it was just I got to see all of my Muppet friends and just hang out with them for a weekend. Like, that's awesome.
And just to tip the scales for like us talking about all this stuff we got up to, we're gonna even it out because we're gonna get Megan Malone's pops on an episode in the future to talk about the last days of Muppet Vision, for which I was
Absolutely.
not there, but for which Max was. So
I was there.
we're gonna even it out. We're not just gonna be like, look at all this awesome stuff that we specifically get to do. We're gonna be like, I wasn't at this one. These guys were. We're
Will
gonna
also
talk
took a
about it.
different trip out to Muppet Vision that I wasn't there for that. We've been doing Muppet things that we missed each other at. And now
True.
we all got to meet at New York. And I can't wait to have Megan on because love her so much. She is amazing. And I can't wait to do our Muppet Vision episode. But that Muppet Vision meetup truly was like a precursor to New York and doing Muppet Weekend because it definitely gave me the confidence to be like, oh, all of these people are so chill and so cool and like are just super nice and fun to hang out with. Might as well spend an entire weekend in a house with them. Like, that's sick.
Absolutely. And that's going to be a fun one to reminisce on. However, I'm going to get us zooming straight on up into New York. And as much as the festivities started on the Saturday, September 20th, we're
Yes.
going to take you a little bit Marty McFly back in time
Shh.
somewhat. Wow, we got sound effects now.
Yeah, that was actually, don't copyright me. That was the actual sound effect from Back to the Future. Yeah.
We're really going places with this
I'm
podcast.
really good at that.
The budget's just
Yeah, this
starting to
Muppet
be there.
podcast, we got an insane effects budget. I also can do boom, and I can also do chill, other sound effects that are really good.
Spielberg.
But yeah, our Muppet
Your people
weekend
talk to my
started
people.
two
Right. So
days
we're going to take you
earlier.
to Thursday, the 18th. Would have been the 18th. Yeah, the 18th, which is when things started kind of for us because I arrived into New York on Wednesday, the 17th. Because I wanted to have a little bit of time in the city to just do some other stuff. I was meeting up with my long distance partner, Mikey, at Tears for Fears. Yes.
Woo!
We're gonna shout out. We're gonna get the nepotism partner shout out in there. Let
Love
you know.
Mikey. Mikey is incredible. He fucking rules.
It's true. I sort of have a bit of a bias on that. Um, but yeah, I got in on the 17th and just had sort of like the chill evening. It was actually crazy. On that night, the 17th, we were literally just like we were going out and getting some supplies and going to Panda Express just for a little sort of like
Slay.
recharge. It was while we were out shopping that I was just like scrolling through my phone. We got the news about the Sabrina Carpenter Muppet Show reboot.
Yes.
First night in New York, I was like,
Yes.
they did this for
No,
me. That was for
literally.
me.
The way that that happened, I was at work telling all of my coworkers, like, I'm about to leave after this shift. I'm about to head to New York for Muppet Weekend. And as I'm saying that, I see the notification that a new Muppet Show special is dropping. And it was the most, like, serendipitous, like, oh my God, we're about to do Muppet Weekend and we got a new Muppet Show that I can talk about with all these Muppet people. Oh my God.
It was first night in New York, spent an entire like nearly 24 hours worth of travel. I was tired, I was hungry, I just wanted Chips Ahoy and orange chicken. And I see my phone, the group chat's blowing up, and I'm like, oh well, Muppet folks have something to talk about. Bet it's nothing crazy. What
Oh
the hell?
no.
What a moment.
Huge, like, I cannot describe how, like, incredible it felt to get that news and then go do an entire Muppet themed weekend. Like, it truly felt like the clouds had parted, the gods had come together to conspire to make that happen.
Absolute euphoria. Nothing like it. So that was Wednesday, but Thursday is where the Muppet
Yeah.
festivities kind of started to kick off
See,
because we
Will
like
traveled all the way in from the UK, which was like he
mm,
by far traveled the furthest of anybody who went to this event. So I just want to say congrats to Will and shout out to you for making the effort because like
okay.
I would have been so sad if you didn't come, and I'm so happy you made it.
Honestly, it was a big touch and go. Like, obviously, you know Max because you were there kind of like as part of it, but it was a real touch and go thing for a really long time as to whether I was actually going to be able to make it. And so I am immensely grateful that I was able to. There were a lot of moving parts and a lot of factors. Truly, if it wasn't for like the encouragement and support of the whole Muppet group chat for folks like Max literally helped me out with the walking tour ticket and like literally wouldn't have been able to go if not. And
It was the best time.
my friends Kaylee and Liz having me stay over their apartment in Harlem, it was like that. Like I genuinely would not have been able to go if not for the kindness of so many people, and that's why I kind of wanted to say the thing of like we appreciate that this is not a position that everybody could be in. Like if not for a sense of community and for banding together and looking out for each other, would not have happened.
Yeah, this trip would
Um,
not have happened for any of us if it wasn't truly like the love and support of
yeah.
our community of friends, our support system and stuff. Because yeah, I would not have been able to go to New York if I didn't like figure out the housing stuff with all of these other Muppet people and like try to get Will in there and everything. It took a lot to get there, but it made me feel just reaffirmed in the sense of community that I have.
Just a collaboration through and through, a banding and mucking together through and through, which just
It was
really is it's a testament to the Muppets, is
Yeah,
it?
we are. I will get into this as like the episode continues. It literally felt like the most Muppet way to travel in the way that things were happening and the way things were going crazy. Like, it felt like a group of Muppets in a house.
Every time that something like could have gone wrong or something close to bad was happening, it was like weird. This is just Muppet Show.
Yeah,
We are
it
just
felt
living the
Muppet.
Muppet Show right now. And we were all sharing who was the stressed out Kermit at any given point in time.
No, literally. Ashling did
But
a great stressed out Kermit. We'll get into that later, but she
oh
did
yeah,
great being our stressed out Kermit.
Aisling petrified Muppet MVP, but
She fucking
that'll
killed it.
that
We'll get
comes
into that.
further down our timeline of events. So Thursday the 18th was when the first of the Muppet Guard started to congregate. I was already there by this point. I was already standing guard, the first to arrive on duty, and then we had the whole day, and sort of towards the end of the day was when Max and Megan Malone's pops got into the city and you guys had a hotel for your first night because I think you were getting in a day earlier than most of the Muppet people, I'm willing to say.
Yes. Everybody else pretty much got in on Friday. And Will was the one who came in the earliest on Wednesday, and then myself and Megan Malone's pop, we came in together on Thursday. I came in from Seattle, she came in from Florida, and then I literally was not planning on doing this, but I literally went right from the airport to the Museum of the Moving Image. And if you guys don't know, the reason we keep talking about the Museum of the Moving Image, like this is important context, they
Mm,
have an incredible Jim Henson wing. They have worked with the Jim Henson Company for an extremely long time. Karen Falk, the head archivist of the Jim Henson Company, is on the board at the Museum of the Moving Image and has really guaranteed this like fantastic Jim Henson wing with all of these old puppets. And I wasn't going to see them until like the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and I assumed, oh my gosh, it's going to be super, super busy. I'm not going to get like the photos I want with these puppets. I'm not going to get, I don't care if this sounds crazy, my intimate experience with each of these puppets, because you need to have, I need to be in a room and cry
mm.
at Piggy and Rolf.
What are
Like,
you
sorry.
what did they let you get away with in that museum? Intimate experience
Intimate
with the puppet.
experience. Oh my lord.
There's a police precinct out in Queens looking for Max for whatever the
No, dude,
fuck
I didn't
they
do
did
shit.
to those
I just like
puppets.
the Muppets. I just like the fucking Muppets.
Mm.
But like, yeah,
Um,
crying and seeing Rolf, all of that. And so I had no plans to go to the Museum of Moving Image early, but Megan, she texted me when I got off of my plane and was like, "Hey, on a whim, we should just go." Our buddy Sky, who Sky is awesome. We talked about him in the last episode. He's a puppeteer at Sesame Place. And he had his car, which was crazy to me because like in New York City, I could not fathom driving a car. But he was awesome. And I took the train, Museum of the Moving Image, met up with Megan and Sky, and we got to like just be in the museum, see all of these puppets beforehand, get to have all of these like nice chill times with them. And unfortunately, we made everyone kind of jealous by going early. And like that was not intentional. That was not intentional.
It
But
was
we
it was a
stabbed some people in the
thing.
back by accident.
It it was a thing of like I was chilling, being like, oh, I'm so excited to see Megan and Max later. And looking at their stories and seeing those images of them having already gone to the MOMI. I myself have never been in a relationship where I've been cheated on, so I
That
can't quite say that I know exactly how that feels.
was
But
close.
this is probably the closest that I've gotten to feeling like that.
You're
I was like,
looking at
oh,
Kermit without me?
you are going to the MOMI with
You
another girl.
scumbag! You're looking at Rolf and you didn't even text me?
I was trying to come up with another one, but I don't think I can top
We can
that.
kill the bit. But like,
Oh
yeah,
my God, yeah.
I went to Moby with Sky and Megan. We took some photos. It was a really good time. I was so tired, sweaty from traveling. Also, I love public transit. I'm a big like train fan. I was so tired from the plane trying to figure out New Jersey Transit and then the MTA and everything was just so much. I got to the museum fine, but it was just like it's a lot. But thankfully, Sky had his car and he drove us through the crazy streets of Manhattan and everything, drove us out of Astoria. And I don't know how the hell he dealt with all those New York drivers, but he killed it. Um, and after we did Museum of the Moving Image, I'm not talking a ton about it now because there's so much that happened at MoMI, but we went to MoMI, got into Manhattan, and then we met up with Will.
Met up with Will because this week that we were in New York was obviously a special time for the obvious reason that we were all gathering there for this big fun event to celebrate Jim Henson's birthday. But it kind of coincided with another event that made me a little bit embarrassed to be.
What event?
What event? Oh, thank you for the question, audience member. I will answer that question. Um, the 20th, Saturday, September 20th, not to like dish out my personal information, was my birthday. It
Woo!
was my yeah, it was my 25th birthday
Hell yeah, it
on
was.
on that Saturday. And so it was kind of that joint trip for me. That's kind of like part of why I justified going on this trip. It was like it's your birthday. This is the first birthday I'd ever spent abroad. First birthday I'd ever spent sort of like not in the presence of like my family and my like immediate friend. So it was like it was a big one, but I knew in my heart of hearts that this was something that I would immensely regret if I didn't do. So I bit the bullet and I went for it. But I had sort of vague plans of what I wanted my birthday to be. Obviously, it was going to be rammed because of all of the events on the Saturday.
Yeah,
But
we
I
didn't
knew,
expect it to be that busy.
oh, and we'll get to that. But the one thing that I knew that I wanted to do was I wanted to have a quiet, intimate, like birthday dinner, at, like a restaurant or like some kind of eatery. And I ended up having that wish fulfilled in a way that I never could have imagined. Because I'm from England, and over here, I'm just gonna cut right to it. Jimmy Buffett's not a really big thing over here.
And here he
He's
is a god. He is a American folklore hero. He's as important to us as Johnny Appleseed and George Washington.
that's it's really funny you mention it like that because the way I describe sort of like how Jimmy Buffett is, it's like when you go to another country and you find out that they've got like mythical creatures that you've never heard of, like all sorts of like Greek myth characters. You've got like harpies and like chimeras and stuff, and then like
Yeah.
you go to Germany and there's like Krampus for like the Christmas demon. And that's kind of what Jimmy Buffett is. He's like an American sort of mythical creature that there's a whole lore around it. If you grow up here, you know. But
Yeah,
it's like I
absolutely.
don't know like I didn't grow up in Greece, so I don't know all of the tales of the Hydra. I didn't grow up in America, so I'm not sure what James Buffett and his adventures pertain to me.
Because
Um,
it's like in Europe, they've existed for so long and they've had time to build all this cool, like mythological shit where it's like, oh, this
yeah,
thing is important to our culture. America is like a new country. And
you're a little
yeah, we have
baby.
some history, but like we really pushed the like Hulk Hogan's and Jimmy Buffett's and the like all of those figures that just make up American capitalism and that idea of like American escapism, they get pushed more than like actual like culture and myths and shit.
All of your mythical creatures are from the 20th century.
All of our
That's,
mythical creatures are related to Jimmy Buffett. Every single one.
but speaking of Jimmy Buffett, I was taken for my lovely, intimate little birthday dinner to Margaritaville, Times Square,
Woo!
where I would meet Max and Megan and Sky for the very first time. Well, actually, no, not
No,
Max.
Will and I
I
have
would
hung
meet,
out before.
that's, yeah, striking that from the record. Where I would meet Max. No, striking from the record
No!
again. Where I would meet Megan, Malone's Pops, for the very first time, which is so strange to think because it feels like we've known each other for years, even though we only really started heavily talking in March of this year,
Yeah.
which is wild to think.
Which is crazy that we've all now gone and done like big Muppet stuff together and everything. Getting to see Megan again made me so happy because like I saw her, I had met her for the first time at Muppet Vision on the last day. And she was just so kind and showed me such like a great experience, me kind of coming in by myself as somebody who's like at the time I didn't really have a Muppet account. I wasn't like as involved in the community socially, and she showed me just like the best time ever. And so getting to hang out with her again in New York was awesome. Second thing I want to say real quick, I was kind of talking shit before the trip, being like, "Oh, Times Square. I'm not gonna spend that much time in Times Square."
Tourist spots.
I had so much damn fun at that Margaritaville in Times Square. Oh my God.
What a
It was
location. What a
incredible.
I had never experienced anything like it in my life. Obviously, getting to sit down with a lot of folks that I love, with me, Mikey, my sisters. They're not really my sisters, but I call them my sisters.
Yes,
I'm
they're
basically
lovely.
adopted into that family. Listen, Kaylee, and then Max, Megan, and Sky, my Muppet pals, was just a wonderful experience. Getting to learn all about James Buffett and his whimsical tales was
Yeah.
wonderful. Had a
Pouring
pretty
big
good
tall
burger.
John.
We were sat right next to the big Lady Liberty with her margarita, so like 4 or 5 light shows.
Oh yeah.
Got really embarrassingly yelled at birthday styles and given some pretty good cake. Chilled out on the rooftop bar and just like every moment in the company of these Muppet guys just like validated like, oh yeah, I was meant to be here.
Yeah, it was
I'm gonna
really. Oh, sorry, not
Yeah.
to cut you
Also,
off.
I'm just gonna whiz past Margaritaville because like as much as I love that spot, that's not what we're here to talk
Oh
about.
yeah, I just wanted to add one last thing about Margaritaville is that it was such an affirming experience to travel into
Mm.
this trip and have my first big thing to happen, like the first event to happen in this series of events was just this wonderful dinner for Will's birthday and getting to hang out with all these Muppet people and then like being on that rooftop bar, getting a little tipsy with our Kermit the
Oh yeah.
Frog puppets and shit. It was incredible.
Yeah. The little plush Kermit bag that I brought over from Megan. We got to do our like little gift exchange as well. It was so
Yes.
sweet.
It
We
was
all
so
got each other
cute.
little Muppet treasures from our travels. It was just such a lovely evening and a perfect way to kick it off, in my opinion.
Oh
But
yeah. And
then,
so Megan and I went back to our hotel, which was wonderful. I'm glad. We ended up staying in the Muppet House, obviously, the rest of the weekend. But this first night, it was nice to have just like a hotel with Megan.
and speaking of Muppet House, the next day, the morning was pretty chill. Me and Mike kind of had the whole morning to ourselves. I'm sure Max and Megan did.
Oh
At
yeah,
about
I have
noon.
stuff to talk about for my morning because it was kind of like an already crazy morning.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh my God,
Good.
because okay, so Megan and I go to this hotel, and like the moment we wake up, we get a text from Michaela, who MC Mups, who does
Michaela the
incredible Muppet
Mops.
crochets. Check out that
I
Etsy
like you said
page.
that like Michaela's a DJ. MC
MC
Mops
Mups
in the club.
in the building. But like MC Mups, she texted us and met up with us like instantly, and we are like, hell yes, Michaela is here already. So like we decided to just go on a little walk through Central Park. And when we get to Central Park, we meet dun 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 Brandon, a Sesame Street puppeteer. It was so insane.
Brandon. Oh, love Brandon.
So Brandon, he was really awesome all weekend. Just a really sweet guy to hang out with. Just somebody who's
Mhm.
so talented and really just incredible with their puppetry work. We were walking into Central Park and we see a dude wearing a Muppet Studios hat, and we're like, Muppet Studios? Like, oh my gosh! And I guess
Muppets
he
mentioned.
heard us say that,
And
and he turned
we
around
like those things. We
like,
like
dude,
Muppets.
that's why we're here. We're here for Muppet weekend.
Muppets mentioned. What the
Muppet
freak?
mentioned. And he was so kind and just like talked to us a little bit. Like he was talking about how he was going to be there at MOMI weekend. And it was just such a cool way to start off this whole weekend by like, oh, I just saw Will and we just did this whole thing. And then now I'm in Central Park talking to this super talented person that I respect with their puppetry and stuff. And it was just like, it was so cool. And then after that, we ended up walking through Central Park a little bit. And then that's when we all started to kind of meet up because after we met Brandon in Central Park, we busted
It was
over
like
to Times Square
it was
Disney's.
like yeah, I got the text out. It was like meet us at Times Square, and we all gathered. So we were endeavoring to go to the Disney store in the futile attempt to try and see if they had anything Muppets.
Any
They
Muppet
had
stuff.
two
They
entire items, but we'll get to the Disney store. Because me and Mikey went. We were already kind of nervous because we're like, oh God, the group's starting to assemble now. Ooh, we got to
Avengers
work
are
out
coming
how we're
together.
gonna interact together socially. And because I knew that Megan and Max and Michaela would all be there, and we knew that Ashling and Shelby, Weird Puppet Girl, were also going to be there. Shelby with her sister as well. And we had congregated sort of like in Times Square. Me and Mikey had made it there, and we were preparing to head to the Disney store. When from behind us, we were like, we heard a, oh my God, turned around. Ashling and Shelby were right there
Woo!
behind us. They had intercepted us pre like big meetup. And then we all sort of like as a group, we all made it to Disney and there they were, Max and Megan and Michaela, the M's, as
Woo!
I affectionately sort of like dubbed them for the
What we
rest of the
are.
weekend. And then we all, yeah, just what a crazy emotional experience just having us all like actually united. It was starting to become real. And there were going to be even more of us tomorrow. Oh my God, how are we going to do this?
It was the most insane thing to get all of these people who I already consider friends because we know I talk to these people all the time online through just doing Muppet stuff. But like getting to see all these people in person for the first time, it was just, it felt like the most incredible reunion basically, where we all like know each other kind of, haven't really hung out in person, but it all just clicked instantly. Like I want to shout out everyone who was on this trip with us for traveling super well, being like great, mature adults who know how to handle themselves in a city. Like it was just the perfect group of people to be with. And getting to see everyone, I started tearing up. I was immediately so emotional.
The thing that like really got me throughout this whole weekend that really got me misty-eyed because I really tried to sort of keep it together because I knew the big cry was going to come
Oh
when
yeah.
I had said goodbye to Mikey and I was going to be the last one there. So I really tried to sort of steel myself for the whole weekend. However, every time that Michaela started to cry, I was like, I'm ruined. I'm done
Same.
for.
Whenever Michaela
Michaela,
started to cry, I
I
started
know.
to cry. And it was
There were
just
a few times that Michaela would cry, bless her heart, simply just because she was having a good time. And I
just
was
made
like,
me
I
so
want to
happy.
fucking live like that.
Uh,
I
I
I
just
just I love
appreciated how comfortable and free with those emotions were because it made me want to be more comfortable and free with crying. It was just wonderful.
no, literally, I love when people like f feel their feelings so like bigly and strongly.
Absolutely.
Because yeah, and I'm really sort of like trying to get back in touch with that myself. But yeah, getting to see Michaela and Ashling and Shelby and everybody together was just incredible.
It was insane.
Um, it was
Um,
literally like this. I was like, this is the shit Gonzo's singing about. The old friends who just met. Like, come
old
on.
friends, literally, like
Old friends
friends
who
who
just
just
met.
met. Like we all got to be together again, and we got into the Disney store, and immediately, like, we got two steps in and got cornered by all of the employees who were just like, "You're all wearing Muppet
Oh.
gear. What the hell is going on?" And we were
Yeah,
like,
well,
"Muppet
'cause
Weekend, baby, come on!"
yeah, we were all decked head to toe in Muppet gear. Max with just like Max with a cunty little sesame crop top. I want to say it was the Saturday Night Grover.
No, I was
Um,
wearing the Kermit, Eric Clapton shirt that day. I wore the
oh,
cunty Sesame Grover shirt the next
of
day.
course, of course. Well, that number came out a fair few times over the course of the
Oh
weekend.
yeah, and
Had
I was
to,
also
had
wearing my
to.
Rizzo backpack that I got from Will.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Oh, that's that's a funny thing for Saturday. So I've unfortunately gained a bit of a reputation in the Muppet community, for dishing out to Americans these Rizzo the Rat backpacks made by a UK company called Giftware in the 90s. They're like impossible to find in the US, very hard to find in the UK. I yeah. I ended up dishing out three Rizzo backpacks that were ordered by Americans over the course of the weekend. So Max had one because they brought their bag, and then I just went out to Michaela, and then one to Shelby, and then one to Sam, Muppet State of Mind,
Love them.
who I didn't like we dished those out until the walking tour. So we were all in Times Square, and we got cornered by the Disney Store staff who sensed our Muppetness.
Yeah, the
The
Muppet
news is
aura.
out there now, so we can talk about it, but kind of gave us like not to get anybody in trouble, kind of spilled the beans about this Muppet Advent calendar coming out
Yeah.
because it was like you guys seem like you need to know this stuff, and we were like, yes, that's true. Thank you for
Yeah.
agreeing.
For people who don't know, there's a new Muppet Christmas Carol Advent calendar coming out that's like $160 and it has like plushes. I don't know. I'm not that hyped for it,
It's
but like
aggressively expensive,
yeah,
but
it does not look worth the money
I
personally.
would be a liar if I said that I didn't think that the plushes were cute.
They're really
However,
cute. I love the Michael Caine plush.
you know what? It's about time we got some Michael Caine merchandise, Michael Caine
Literally.
merchandise. But you will not catch me forking over $160 for that.
Hell no. There's not even
I'm
a
gonna wait
big
until it goes
money
on
in
sale
there.
if it does. I'm gonna wait until it goes on sale if it does.
Yeah,
Inevitably, it's just gonna get more expensive after Christmas, but I'm gonna fool
literally.
myself into believing that it's gonna get cheaper one day.
Yeah, nah, not gonna happen. The resellers are gonna kick that shit up on eBay.
I'm gonna make my peace with it.
Nah.
But we had a fun time in the Disney store, and then we walked around, just like dashed around a few little
Oh,
tourist traps in
I
Times
want to
Square.
point out that when we were leaving the Disney store, we were going down the escalator, and all of a sudden, we start hearing the incredible voice of Dr. Teeth in the Electric Mayhem. And it felt so like, oh my God, they did this on purpose. Like, we're leaving the store and we hear the Dancing in the Moonlight cover from Muppet's Haunted Mansion. And we all just turn to each other
Yes.
like, dude, they're playing
So
Muppet songs. Oh my God.
it was like one of these staff. They did that for
They
us.
clocked us
They
on the
knew
camera.
that was our like outro music.
It
Oh
was
my goodness.
insane. Like
There were
we,
so
yeah,
many moments where it was like, oh, this is a Muppet thing that like
this is a
happened
Muppet moment.
specifically in congruence with us. Like New York knew what we were about. They knew we were about that life, and that's exactly how they treated us this whole weekend. Oh
Literally.
my goodness me.
But yeah, we jumped out of the Disney store, as Will said. We ran around to some tourist traps and stuff. As we were walking down the street to go to Joe's Pizza, because we all started getting pretty hungry. It'd been a long day of traveling.
Get a slice of Joe's.
Again, it's like the Joe, and we we turn a corner down the street, not like knowing we don't like we're not from none of us are from New York, so it's like we don't know where the hell everything is.
Bunch of tourists.
Bunch of tourists. And so we turn the street, and looking down on us from this big billboard is Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, and Rob Link. Rob Lake.
Robert Lake himself. Rob
Robert
Lake
Lake.
magic.
Robert Mr. Magic with the special guest the Muppets staring down at us.
Like sort of, you know how like old paintings like depict sort of like a light beam from heaven like descending down, and that was how I felt seeing the Rob Lake banner sort of descending upon us.
So, for context, if you're not aware, Rob Lake, who's this magician who has worked with the Disney company, I'm underselling how big of a magician he is because I'm not in the magic circles. He's a big deal. He is we ended up meeting him. I'll get into that later. He was a really nice guy. But Rob Lake has a new magic show on Broadway featuring the Muppets, guest starring. We don't know in what capacity they're going to be doing stuff within the show, but they're marketing it as this big, like, special guest stars, the Muppets. So that's why we turn the corner, we see the sign, boom, Muppets and Rob Lake, like magic, appear in front of us.
I am Muppets mention in some capacity on Broadway because the rumors have been circulating. The Muppets are coming to Broadway, and we didn't know what form that was going to take. And then the news dropped that it was featuring, featuring in a magic show with Mr. Rob Lake. Um,
Mr. Robert
I
Link.
was not actively familiar with him, but it's like the Muppets are coming to Broadway. It's like, come on, like we got to get at
Yeah.
least a little bit excited about the crumbs, you know? Um,
Exactly. And I didn't really know too much about the show beforehand and it still hasn't come out yet, but from what I've seen after New York weekend, I'm definitely a lot more excited for that show. But what was crazy about going and turning the corner, seeing all this Muppet stuff staring down at us, we had this realization that we were standing in front of Sardi's.
Sardi's. It was what
Sardi's.
a street for Muppet
What
fans.
a Muppet Street in New York City. What the hell?
For those who don't know, Sardi's is a historic restaurant on Broadway in New York. If you're not familiar, the imagery of it is quite familiar because it's a very fancy sort of like nice little bistro cafe. On the walls, all the way around, are caricatures of folks who have performed on Broadway, like big name actors of stage, screen, movies. That's also
Yeah.
screen, TV, still screen. Um, but yeah, it's the caricatures sort of cafe, a very high end, very fancy, very much an institution of Broadway and of New York. Very important to theater people. It also featured in a certain theatrical release, 1984's The Muppets Take Manhattan, in a scene in
Woo!
which, woo, yeah, absolutely. um, shout out Frank Oz in a scene in which Kermit the Frog is trying to get a whispering campaign going for his Broadway show upcoming. And so he goes into Sardi's under the guise that he's some big Broadway producer. And he has Rizzo and the Rats take down Liza Minnelli's portrait and put up a drawing that was done of him and have the rats go under other people's tables and like whisper like, "Hey, isn't that the big shot producer Kermit the Frog over there?
That's big Broadway producer Kermit the Frog.
Hottest thing coming to Broadway this season.
Manhattan Melodies?
Manhattan Melodies, the producer, Manhattan Melodies." And then Liza Minnelli comes in her wonderful cameo and gets him kicked out. But
Yeah.
the thing about Sardi's, the real Sardi's, not just the fictional Muppet Sardi's, is that they have kept that sketch that was done of Kermit, and it's still in the restaurant. We're still at the restaurant, at the Sardi's restaurant in front of the Kermit the Frog. Um,
So like yeah, that scene in that movie is so iconic. I love Liza Minnelli getting another cameo in after her incredible Muppet Show episode. But that drawing of Kermit is signed by Jim Henson, and it wasn't just made for the movie because it still hangs in Sardi's today. And of course, these Muppet obsessed group of people that we were with, it was like, okay, can we just go in there and like not order anything and just look at this Kermit? And so very kindly, shout out to the restaurant, Sardi's. They were really nice. They let us through, and we all gaggled there it for like 20 minutes in front of this Kermit portrait, this caricature of Kermit just freaking out. There's videos of it on our Instagrams of us just being there, like, oh my God, that's the thing
he's
from
right
Muppets Take
there.
Manhattan, and Jim Henson
Let's
signed
go.
it. Oh
Hey,
my
it's Big
God.
Shot producer Kermit the Frog. He's right there.
That's from Manhattan Melodies. And then when you would, what was crazy to me after we had gotten our photos with this Kermit the Frog thing from Muppets Take Manhattan, you turn your head and Rob Lake starring the Muppets are staring right back at you. You can look at Kermit, turn your head, and see Kermit. Like, what the hell? What is
Honestly, I
happening?
think that's how every street should be laid out personally. I want to be looking at Kermit in one side of the street and then turn around and look at another Kermit. That's beautiful. To me, that's utopia.
Yeah, it felt very Muppets Take Manhattan because we're on Broadway, looking at the Muppets on Broadway, looking at the photo of Kermit from the movie about him trying to get a Muppet play on Broadway. It was a very Broadway moment for us.
But just getting to be able to go in and again, shout out to the staff at Sardi's for being so
Yeah, they were
accommodating to us,
awesome.
particularly a man who was running security, who is, I think it's fair to say, the most Italian American man I've ever met
Oh
in my
yeah,
life. He was like,
he
"Hey,
was straight out of a
if you guys want a
fucking like
picture, hey, you guys
Goodfellas.
just you take all the time you want. I'll get you a little picture for you. I'll take a little photo of you guys, and then I just got to get to the phone that you stood in front of." It was like it was genuinely. I was like, "Wow, I really am in New York.
Wow, I'm
Wow,
looking at there's a real life Italian
whoa, there's a real
American.
life guy there."
No way, I thought they
Um,
just made those for the movies, man.
so crazy. But honestly, shout out to Max for being the one for being our sort of he asked for no pickles person to go had the bravery to go in and ask, can we go? It was Max went in on the road and was like, hey, we're a little group. Can we go and see Kermit? And the sort of like head of staff was like, yeah. And then it was like, come on. And then a whole bunch of Muppet people came into Sardi's, barreled up the stairs and crowded around this little drawing of a frog.
No,
Only
literally.
only from Muppet people can you see that kind of sort of fascination and that kind of phenomenon.
I had to put on my like customer service voice because I'm a bartender in my daily life, and so I had to flip on like bartender voice where I was just like, hi there. Like, and that's not how I sound when I'm bartending, but you know what I mean. I flipped into customer service voice and was like, I'm so sorry about this. I know that this is crazy. I know we have a huge group of people. Do you think we could see the Kermit though? Like the
Well,
Kermit sound, that sounds awesome.
hi, thanks so much for sort of letting me take up a moment of your time. Can I see the frog, please?
Yeah, we're not going to spend any money here, and
Oh
we
no,
are going to
absolutely
use your
not. No, no, no.
bathroom, but
Not a
can I see
penny.
Kermit?
We just like to see the frog, use your bathroom, be annoying and leave, if that's
Just
all
like
right.
stand near this photo from a movie that we love
You
that
see, somebody
stars
drew
a
a
frog.
frog in the 80s. He's still up there. Can we go and see him?
Dude, you know, like I I went into Sardi's under the mindset that it was like the Kermit's not going to be there. Like even like I could have looked it up. Honestly, I probably could have Googled it and been like, "Is the photo at Sardi's?" and it would have said yes. But I was like going in blind completely because I wanted to be surprised by this Kermit, and surprise I was.
It's just one of the many special Muppet moments. But then
That
the
was an
first,
insane kickoff to the weekend, getting to like meet up with everyone, look at the Muppets Take Manhattan Kermit, see the Rob Lake marquee, and then that was only the kickoff.
and then we all dispersed from Sardi's. We went and we got ourselves a Joe's slice. That was, oh God, that was very much needed. I think
That
we
was
were
so
all
good.
a little hungry and we were all a little like, we just had a euphoric Muppet experience, but we haven't had lunch
We
yet.
have
So
not eaten all today. And
let's,
like we
let's get things moving along here.
it felt very on brand for all of our Rizzo backpacks and stuff. Just
Yeah.
having a slice of pizza with that Rizzo was very it felt very New York to me, and I'm glad we did that.
We had the dough and Joe had the cheese.
Joe had the cheese. Exactly.
So we
And then
all
yeah, we all dispersed for a while. Myself, Megan, we had to go back to the hotel to get our bags, and then everyone else had to go get their bags so we could all reconvene at the Muppet House. And I'm going to be referring to it as the Muppet House throughout this whole podcast, but it's essentially just like an Airbnb with like nine people who all do Muppet stuff. And like obviously love all of these people. I love traveling with them, love staying in this house with them. We also did this because it was cost effective. I could not have
Mhm.
afforded this trip if I wasn't splitting it with nine people. So like,
New York,
love
you are
everyone there. Yeah, Muppet House was awesome, but it was also because we were being cost effective.
New York, you are a wonderful city, but I'll be damned if your hotels are not expensive.
Hell no, I'd rather split a place with nine Muppet people and like 50 puppets. Like, it was easy.
Yeah, there's no way we can afford like even just like a chain hotel. Not
Yeah.
in New York.
And so,
I'm very grateful that I was able to crash at my friend's apartment.
so I was just gonna ask, like, when we left to go do the Muppet House, what were you up to in that time period?
Actually, if you can believe it, more Muppet stuff.
Ah!
Kind of. I was on a bit of a mission while I was in New York because I'm not I don't tend to be in America very often if I can help it.
Ha!
So I was on a bit of a mission because that week a new Muppet item had just released. That item being the picture book adaptation of one of my favorite films of all time, The Muppet Show, The Muppet Movie 1979.
Hell
It had
yeah.
just come out at the start of the week, and I was like, I got to get myself to a Barnes and Noble and pick up a copy. So for the rest of the day, when everybody went off to Muppet House, me and Mikey, we had a little bit long distance partnership. You know, it's not easy. So we kind of soak up as much of each other's time when we're around each other as we can. So we just had a nice little afternoon in the city. Went to my first ever Spirit Halloween. That was
Yeah.
and scattered around looking for a Barnes and Noble to get a copy of this book at. Managed to get one. The very last one at the Barnes and Noble that I was at.
Hell yeah.
There was one in Fifth Avenue, didn't have a single copy. Was dismayed at that. Had to travel a bit of a ways on the subway to get it, but I got it. And then we just went back home and just sort of like had a chill evening.
See,
Probably a
Will,
much like especially in comparison, a much more relaxed evening than I'm sure some people elsewhere in New York were having, and I'm sure I'm gonna hear all about it.
I wonder who those people were who were freaking out on the streets of Hell's Kitchen. So, Will just described this beautiful time of like getting this like nice time with his boyfriend, getting to just like do more Muppet stuff, all of that. So,
Lovely, jovial, domestic,
jovial
beautiful.
domestic Muppety. And so we myself, Megan, Shelby, Ashling, and this we had a ton of people in this house. I am gonna like I know it's a lot of people. I am gonna shout out each person individually here because they deserve it and they're all super awesome.
Rattle them
We
off.
had Ashley Petrified Muppets, Sam Muppet State of Mind, Megan Malone's Pops, Brittany Miss Leisure. We had wait, no, Allison wasn't at the house, but Safety Pun Puppetry, Safety Pun Allison, she was part of this whole thing. She's awesome. Oh my God, we had Joe from Muppetology in there. We had Michaela, MC Mups. Am I forgetting anybody?
No, because it was you and Megan, and it was Joe.
Shelby and Jenna, and
Yeah,
they're
Shelby,
awesome. Weird
Shelby,
puppet
Shelby
girls.
insists. Shelby insists.
Yeah, I think that's everyone in the house. But like we all ended up meeting up. So this is like 9 people in the streets of Hell's Kitchen in front of this Verbo. And oh my God, getting into this Verbo was hell. And I want to give the biggest shout out right now to Aisling Petrified Muppet because she took the brunt of being the stressed out Kermit here. She took the brunt of dealing with all this like customer service shit and she killed it. And so basically, we get there. We have all of our bags. There's 9 of us on the street. We're trying to get into the building, like the building number. Okay, also, first of all, we had been trying to get in contact with this freaking Verbo host for like weeks up until this trip. They would not respond to us. Verbo had to like get like hound them to get in contact with us. Ashling was on the phone with them while we were getting pizza, just being like, "What the fuck? We paid for this. Give me our house." Um, we get the address. It's the wrong address. We're like breaking into this fucking other building, and this person who comes out is like, "What are you guys doing?" We're like, "Oh, we have a rental in here." And they're like, "There's no rentals in here." And we're like, "Okay, what is happening?" We find a lockbox that's supposedly for our Verbo. We open it, we get a key, but we have no idea what fucking building it is. So at some point, I don't know if this is a good thing, we just started trying the key on like each door of each stoop.
It's like you're in
And
an
like,
escape room, but the escape room is the city of New York.
yeah, the escape room is the mean streets of NYC. And
Oh my
so
God.
we try like 5 doors, and eventually we get a door that opens, and we're like, okay, sick. First door open. Now we got to figure out like which apartment is it because he never gave us an apartment number.
Oh my God. I'd say this is my first time like properly hearing this story. All I knew was we had a crazy time getting into the Verbo, and I was like, I'm sure you did.
No, this isn't even the half of it.
Oh
Like
my God. You
we
literally had to solve like their riddles 3 to be able to get into your
Yeah, we had to freaking
apartment.
solve an escape room, and like we finally get into this building, and we have no idea which number, which thing the building, like which apartment it is. We start trying doors again. I hope I didn't freak out the residents of that building. Eventually, we get to a door, and the key doesn't turn, and we're like, fuck, like this should be the right one, but it doesn't work. Eventually, we got it open. There was like 3 different locks on the door, and one of the locks like wasn't working properly, and we had to jig that open. Eventually, we get into this house. We're like, oh, thank God, all of our Muppet stuff. And I'm telling you, we had suitcases upon suitcases of Muppet things. It was just like half the space in the house was just taken up by puppets and puppet books and puppet pushes and puppet things.
One thing that you're going to guarantee if you gather a large concentration of Muppet people together, most of your space is going to be taken up by treasures, trinkets, treats, delights, and like definitely plush toys. Because like come
Absolutely. And so
like
like
look
we
at
get
this guy.
into
This
this
guy was chilling with me the whole time I was in New York City. I know Mikey had to bring him over from Atlanta. Like trust me, there are going to be trinkets and plushes galore when you're dealing with Muppet people.
we get into this house. We have all of our trinkets laid everywhere. That Airbnb, like that Verbo, that place was disgusting. Like I'm just gonna say it right now. The bathrooms were gross as hell. It was just not a good accommodation, but it was really, really cheap. And like if it wasn't such a pain to get in contact with this house and figure out the building, I would have put up with that for the cheapness, but it was so bad. But we were like tired. We're like, we need to get some pizza. We need to go to the bodega, get like a corn muffin. Everyone ended up eating a lot of muffins that weekend for some reason, but like everyone's on the Muppet wave, the muffin Muppet wave at the bodega,
Muppet muffins.
the Muppet Muffin wave. And so like we leave this Verbo And this group of French women, like so like tourists from France with their bags and everything, they come up to our lockbox and we're like standing outside of our building, just like all hanging out for a second, sitting on the stoop, and we see them opening the exact same lockbox that was supposed to have our keys in there for the building. And we're like, okay, why do these random people have the access code to get our keys and go into our Airbnb? Myself and Sam, Muppet State of Mind, we go up to them and we're like, hey, like, we're just
Bonjour.
trying, like, this is us, like our lockbox. We try to like figure out their situation, and we learn from these tourists that they booked with the same dude in the same building, and he sent them the same access code, so he double booked the place and told them the wrong address too.
You're
Like
lying.
no, dude, I'm straight up. And the tourists, they were just like, this is bullshit. I'm not gonna do the French accent, but like they were like, this is
No, yeah.
bullshit. Like we've been trying to get in contact with this guy like for hours. He won't respond. We ended up giving them his number because he wouldn't like they could
Oh yeah.
not get in contact with this guy.
Oh my God. If there's one thing that's gonna happen when you said like a sort of group of French women all are united against one man, oh, he's not coming out of there alive.
Oh, he's not okay. I said I wasn't gonna do the French accent, and I
You
did.
you did it. You caved.
I still canceled.
We got you there. We got you to cultural insensitivity. Episode 2. We had a
Episode
great
two, we
run.
already did it.
We had such a good run, guys. But you
Fuck,
know, I'm
man.
gonna
All
have to
right,
find a new
podcast over. I'm
co-host.
sorry, France.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, France.
expect the Notes app apology when this episode drops, and expect a new co-host in episode 3.
Yeah, a French co-host.
Yeah, for diversity.
And we talk to these ladies, they end up leaving, but we're pissed because it's like, okay, these random ass people had the same access as us and people can just get into our building. It did not feel safe. And we were just like, oh my God, we're too far into this trip and we're have too many people to like try to find new accommodations. So we just said fuck it and we went and got some pizza. After this whole fiasco with the Verbo, we were just like, fuck, I need a drink, I want to dance, I need a slice of pizza. We ended up just stumbling upon this very fun drag show. Allison took us to it, which was great. Jake, Muppet Stuff with Jake, ended up meeting up with us. At some point during that, I don't think at the drag bar, but like before that. Um, we dance, like there's nobody dancing. Myself, Ashling, and Megan jump in and we get the whole house dancing. It was so fun. We end up back in Times Square, eating pizza, eating hot dogs, wearing Muppet outfits, and that was pretty much the first day because it was like the craziness of the Verbo and then chilling out on some drag and pizza, which is the best way to end the night.
See, that was their evening. What my evening looked a little bit like was eating Panda Express again,
Love it.
putting on Ice Cube War of the Worlds, and I fell asleep on Mikey 5 minutes into the film.
Hell yeah.
That was my evening. Slight, a little bit of a contrast, slightly
Eh,
different.
a little
Mike,
different, whatever.
Mike, Mikey and Alyssa finished the movie while I was asleep. They had a great time. I had a great time. Just to get a sense of the sort of the balance between the two of the Muppet households going on here, because the Muppet household number 3 was Jake and Leah over in Leah's
That's
place.
true.
They were probably also having sort of some semblance of a peaceful time, even with all the sort of travel going on over their end. But yeah, 3 sort of Muppet households, all alike in dignity. One of them having a bit more of a difficult time than perhaps the others.
Yeah, first of all, shout out Leah Electric Man pins. They're great. Bringing up the third Muppet household, there was a bunch of different Muppet households, as Will said, because like New York's expensive, people need to crash at different places. And it was so funny to me that while we were like freaking out on the streets of New York, Will's just kicking back, eating some Panda Express, like
Yeah.
chilling, no care in the world.
Eat my broccoli beef, not a care in the world, nary a negative thought in my brain. Excited for Muppets tomorrow.
And I just want
Terrified
to
about.
say, oh, sorry, I just wanted to say real quick that getting into that house, seeing everybody, like I had said earlier when we got to the Disney store about how this was just felt like this incredible reunion of people, but truly getting into that house, putting our stuff down, and like having this free time where we're all just together, like before these Muppet events, after these Muppet events, where we just get to hang out and chill, like. it felt so wonderful to just be in a house full of people who share this interest, but also are just cool as fuck and I'd hang out with regardless. And it just, we got to talk Muppets. We threw on Muppet movies the whole time. It was a really great house to be in. And I've gone on trips with friends, not to throw anybody under the bus here, but like I've gone on some trips with friends where you get to the house and you realize, oh, I don't love living with this person. But every single person in the Muppet house was so awesome to be there with. So I just wanted to say that before we get into the huge crux of this Momi weekend, because that was just the precursor.
I was
Like
gonna
that
say
was straight up just like the prequel.
this is all preamble before the actual events, but
Like
I do.
we've been talking for a long time now, but like that's not even the weekend. So like I we gotta like get into that.
Oh, absolutely. But before that, I am just gonna say, like, as somebody who like meets long distance friends who I've met on the internet, it's interesting having that sort of extended time together because it really changes the context of the friendship. Because sometimes there's people that you can hang out with on the internet that you're probably not supposed to spend an immense amount of time with IRL.
Oh yeah.
And to discover that you gel so well with people IRL, it's such a blessing,
Oh
such a
my God,
genuine
yeah.
blessing. Um, and having sort of basked in that blessing of, oh wow, okay, we've all experienced trials and tribulations and we still like rock heavy with each other. Let's go have the most insane weekend of our lives. And
Oh
we're
my
gonna
God, yeah.
shoot right into Saturday the 20th. I woke up,
Woo!
opened a couple birthday cards that I had been given prior to because I didn't want to open them until my birthday. Opened a couple
Dude,
birthday cards, got up early as hell, got fitted up, and went over to Central Park
yes.
because the first of the events of the Jim Henson birthday celebration, organized by Henson Associates and the Museum of the Moving Image, was a guided walking tour through Central Park,
Yes.
which I had been to Central Park once before in the winter, and it was gorgeous in the snow, but I really had not seen much of it outside of how it looked in the winter. And so I was excited, not just for obviously a tour of all these Muppet monuments, but to see the park. It's a historic park. It's featured in tons of movies and TV shows and stuff. I want to be soaked in this New York landmark. And what better way to do that than to have a walk through it where you're getting pointed out all the Muppet stuff that happened in there. To me, that's peak.
Yeah, it was so insane to be in this like historic place with so much history, surrounded by a bunch of people who were there for a very specific reason, was to like, yeah, this place has a lot of history. Tell me the Muppet stuff right
I
now.
want to
Tell me all
know.
of the Muppet historical things right now. And like, I just wanted to say, we like Will got to there before us and the Muppet House getting ready in the morning. It was just like this feeling of anticipation of like, oh my God, this is really kicking off. Like we are about to be on a walking tour with Heather Henson, Jim Henson's daughter,
Oh yeah,
who
we glossed over that, didn't we? We didn't really
glossed
mention
over this.
that.
Heather Henson hosted the walking tour, and
Wow.
getting to spend this whole weekend hanging out with Heather Henson, it was incredible. It was one of the best experiences I've had with somebody that I like look up to in that sense, where Heather has been so involved with all these Muppet things. She has really like done a fantastic job of carrying her dad's legacy, and getting to spend that time with her just in a small group, it was so special. And like, Heather Henson, she still does so many incredible things, and I biggest shout out to her.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It was such a really exciting opportunity to be able to do something on this sort of like intimate scale with somebody like Heather Henson, somebody who's literally carrying the legacy of like her father, who is probably one of the most influential Western artists ever. And as Max said, I got there a little bit before Muppet House, and it was when Muppet House arrived that I got to meet everybody that I didn't get to meet yesterday, who had congregated sort of later in the day. But me and Mikey had got there, and I was very nervous. Mikey was very much my rock throughout this weekend because he's sort of like entry sort of level into Muppets because he's got really into heavily into Muppets because of me. That's entirely my
Yeah.
fault. I'm sorry, baby. I love
Ah,
you. Thank you so much for your patience. I'm gonna say that probably a few times, but he was definitely my social rock throughout this weekend. I was very nervous. There were a few people already gathered there. I was like, oh goodness me. And a few people came up to me and like introduced themselves and started talking to me, which definitely helped. There was already, even without anybody else I knew there, already such a sense of just sort of like social closeness with each other. Some folks there had puppets. I had my little Kermit puppet with me for the walking tour because puppets were encouraged. And just people coming up to me, introducing themselves, just sort of like just having like a very pleasant chat with folks that I had never met before, was just so wonderful. And I was like, wow, we really are blessed as a sort of group, aren't we?
The sense of community that you felt the moment you got on that walking tour, it was like such a palpable feeling of kindness and just love for everyone, like respecting everyone's differences. It felt so in line with all of this Henson messaging that we've taken in for years, that like you get all of these big Muppet fans all in one place and everyone's just being super kind and welcoming, and just it felt like a great sense of community.
Yeah. Something that really sort of threw me off was that I don't know if I told you this, Max. I got like recognized a few times as Mupdates, which
Ah!
was insane to me because I've only been here since March. I am not necessarily a stranger to getting recognized from social media simply because I used to be a cosplayer and I would attend
Yeah.
conventions a lot, and so I would be known sort of like, oh, are you Mr. Doctor Cosplay? Not to out myself as a cosplayer, but getting recognized as Mupdates was such like a, oh wow, I really am like here and part of it. I'm really like I'm where I'm meant to be. I'm among Muppet people,
You
and
know,
just
it's so funny. I got recognized as Muppet's friend like once
that
at the Muppet
foul.
weekend.
I am so sorry. You should have
No,
come
don't
up.
apologize. It was great. I'm
You
like, yeah, I'm friends with Muppets.
you should have
Cool.
come up and punched me square in the face for that.
I'm
That's
my own person, Will.
I'm Muppet Man Max. I'm my own deal. I got my
Come
own stuff
on.
going on here.
I like never post, and when I do, it's mainly Muppet political rants, but cut me some slack,
Yeah,
man.
there's got to be the market for that, and you're the one who fills it.
There
And
we
we're
go.
very grateful. But
Thank you.
but yeah, speaking with Muppet folks there was such a blast. One person in particular who immediately put me at ease, who I was probably the most nervous to talk to. We're gonna shout him out. It was gonna happen at some point. Mr. Joe Henny's Tough Pigs.
Joe Hennis, Joe from Tough Pigs.
I saw him from across like the little square that we were in. I remember whispering to my boyfriend and like giving him the whole like play-by-play on like what Tough Pigs was and so like the relevance of it. Like Joe Tough Pigs and just like Tough Pigs as an entity, we not a single one of us would have met, I think, if not for
Yeah.
Tough Pigs being the foundation of talking about the Muppets online.
Muppet, if people aren't aware, Muppet Tough Pigs is the largest Muppet fan site in terms of news articles. They share a lot of great like opinion pieces on Muppets, but that started all the way back in the 90s as Muppet Zine, a piece of physical media that you could write into and get a subscription for. And nowadays, Joe Hennis is still so involved in the community and hosting these incredible Muppet events. And like the fact that he built such a foundation of community for this fandom, I would not have met Will or any of these people if Joe had not like created this community in this sense of like the sense of love. And I really appreciate Joe. He was there with us all weekend. Awesome to hang out with. He was super involved with everything going on and just a kind, wonderful guy to be around.
just just putting me at ease immediately talking to him. That was something that was so jarring. Talking to people who I was like, for all intents and purposes, quite nervous to meet. People
Yeah.
like Joe, and then eventually Heather, folks like Lucas Ross, who was
Oh my
also there for
God.
the
Yeah,
walking tour.
Lucas Ross was there.
Lucas Ross, incredibly talented actor, comedian, musician. Musician in the sense of primarily banjo.
Yeah.
Primarily what he's known for in Muppet Space is being the man who, for the last few years, has provided the banjo for some of Kermit's live performances and like online pieces. So quite literally, he is the music of Kermit in a modern sense.
And
He
he is in
joined up.
charge of the Banjo Museum, the National Banjo Museum, which has Kermit's original banjo that was played in 1979 Muppets. So technically, that dude is in possession of the original Kermit banjo.
He is kind of the modern day sort of like guardian of Kermit and his banjo
Absolutely.
in that sort of musical sense. And he was so incredibly wonderful and sweet to talk to. So it was just like folks, for all intents and purposes, who have every right to be snooty and like exclusive about their position, had absolutely no interest on it in it because it was such an atmosphere of love and just sort of sharing. It
And
was
like oh sorry, not to cut you off. I just wanted to say that I didn't expect anybody to be like snooty or mean or anything, but when you like kind of build up a reputation for people in your head where you kind of like you see all their stuff online, you see all how involved they've been in the thing that you like. You hope that you get along with these people. And not only did we get along with these people, but I now have like awesome new Muppet friends and these great Muppet relationships where I'm just like very thankful to have spent that weekend. Lucas Ross, Karen Falk, head archivist of the Jim Henson Company, was on the tour too.
Craig
And
Shemin.
Craig Shemin, who is the head of the Jim Henson Trust and Legacy. I'm also blanking on his name. I apologize for this, but there was a longtime Sesame Street photographer who was like aiding along in this tour. And two Sesame Street puppeteers, Brandon, who I mentioned earlier, and Tao. And they did incredible puppetry performances as we did this walk.
That yeah, that was such like a cherry on top because it wasn't
Like,
just your average walking tour. It was a sort of mixture of things. The sort of informational chunk of the tour was delivered by Heather and by Joe Tough Pigs. When we would end up at a spot, they will be the sort of primary deliverers of information. And might I say, as somebody who's been on a few like museum tours and walking tours, flawlessly executed it.
oh,
They were engaging, they got information across, but they were able to sort of like capture attention in a way that wasn't really like domineering or like you're at school. It was in a way where it was like we were genuinely just sharing in a story and like it was beautiful, just like wonderful storytellers and teachers at the same time.
absolutely.
Wow.
And the path that we took through Central Park, I want to point out, is the exact path that Jim Henson would take on his walk from his apartment. We started the tour below his apartment that was overlooking Central Park. We walked the walk to the carriage house, and this was the exact route that Jim Henson would take every day on his way to work. When he went to create all of these incredible projects, he took this route every day. And getting to stop at all of these places that he cherished and that were important to these moments and like Muppet, like historical moments, it was just incredible. It felt so engaging and so intimate to have Heather Henson and Joe Hennis, who is like an expert on all of this stuff, showing all of these different locations in such a beautiful place like Central Park. Um, I will say also though, it was a sing along the whole time, and
Oh boy, was there
we
sing along.
it was a sing along. If you come on that tour next year, be prepared to sing. Like everyone had a puppet, everyone was in Muppet outfits, everyone was singing, and we had constantly like other tourists like look at us walking by, film, and be like,
Yeah, we were
"What
getting
is happening?"
recorded. We were getting asked, "What the hell are you doing here? What is this?"
We looked like a Jim Henson cult.
We were too busy singing "Moving Right Along" to answer them, quite frankly.
Like
It was, oh
we
my God. There are so many clips recorded from that that have ended up sort of like surfacing online. I would like to shout out My Heart is a Pineapple,
Yes.
Sophie.
Yeah, Sophie.
Sophie, who I met for the first time on that walking tour, who really sort of captured the sense of this kind of like love that we're talking about, was just so
Absolutely.
immersed in it in a way that
So
made me love it even more being a part of it. Was
her
singing
being there,
every single song, knew all of the lyrics, was singing it like fully with her chest. Just they're just absolutely fully engrossed in it in a way that like we were singing in public. It was a little bit embarrassing. Just got me wanting to sort of like it got me wanting to sing along as well. Just absolutely beautiful.
absolutely.
Got so many incredible clips. She was there with her mother. Got so
Her
many
mom was awesome too.
incredible clips from the sing along, and I watched them back and cherished them. There's a little video of Sophie and Mike Kermit singing "Moving Right Along" together that is so beautiful. I watch it at least once a day.
Yeah, Sophie being there, just living so authentically with her love for the Muppets, so unabashedly, so unashamedly. it not only encouraged all the rest of us in this whole group we came with to just be even more into it, but I'm so appreciative that her and her mom got so many of these candid clips of us all just having a great time at Momi Weekend. I cherish those so deeply, and just shout out to them. I will say with this sing along, I went into it expecting it to just be like, hey, well, we all know these Muppet songs, we're gonna
Yeah, we're
sing.
just having a little sing
This is
song.
not a dig at Heather or the way this tour was run. I had the most incredible time. But I did not expect it to be this thing where it's like, okay, we're singing a Muppet song, but everybody gets a part, and like half the people sing move
Oh
in,
my God. It was like
moving
we're
right
like it was
along.
like we were at choir school. I was like,
Yeah,
oh
it
my
was
God,
like a glee club.
I'm
It
gonna
was like
fail Muppets. No.
there was so much structure to it in a way where it totally threw me off, but I still had the most incredible time. And again, this is not a criticism of the walk at all. It
Absolutely
was more
not.
just like I did not expect us to like I expected us to sing. I didn't expect us to have like parts and like remember things.
Well, it was kind of the thing where it was like very intimidating at first because it's like, oh my goodness, we've
Yes.
got to like remember like the mm-hmm. We gotta we
Da-na,
gotta we gotta get some
da-na-na-na-na.
semblance of on key. And I feel terrible that I never got his Instagram, but we had this guy directing us. It was like very much like a sort of choir director, and he was absolutely wonderful. I got to have the most lovely conversation with him
He was
on
so
the
cool, so
Sunday
kind.
night as well. Just so like
I
dialed
wish I got
in,
his
knew
name.
exactly what he was doing in a way that just sort of put me at ease a little bit. But yeah, once you sort of
It-
got into it, it was like, oh, okay, we're in business now. We're doing a
oh yeah.
cappella, we're pitch perfect, we're like,
Literally, we are the Bard and Bellas, like whatever that. Like we
I've seen those
were.
movies, sure. I totally watched those.
I was obsessed with that movie, but that's another story. We went into this walking tour. I was definitely a bit intimidating with the whole singing thing because, again, I assumed it was just going to be like Muppet sing along, and it ended up being really chill. I'm just being dramatic. Like, it ended up being really awesome in terms of just getting to sing along. And Lucas Ross was so cool with just having that banjo, and in between while we were walking to different locations, he would just start singing Muppet songs, start playing on the banjo, and everyone would just sing along as we walked. That was probably my favorite part of the tour. It was just like we're all walking through Central Park, we're all singing, and we're singing Wemblin' Fool, we're singing Moving Right Along. Like it was so cool.
It was a good mix of like that sort of vibe where it was like we're walking along and we're just singing a song willy-nilly and we're just kind of like having a great time with it on the road. And there was about two-thirds that, and then one-third when we were at a particularly relevant location, we would have this kind of directed sort of choir group vibe about it. And the first one
Yeah.
was moving right along at the very beginning of the tour. And then we stopped a ways down when we
At the
got to
pond.
this at the pond where we sung I Don't Want to Live on the Moon from Sesame
Yes.
Street. That
And didn't we sing We Are All
mm,
Earthlings as well?
we didn't sing that, but I'll tell you who did, Brandon and Tao,
Yes, they did.
because we stopped at a point by the pond. We watched a recreation of an old like environmental PSA featuring Kermit and Fozzie, but it was Brandon and Tao as this like carp puppet and this duck. And they were absolutely an incredible part of the tour because not only was
Totally.
it great to have like Sesame performers there and like
Real
just like on
Sesame
the tour
Street
bus,
puppeteers performed on this tour. Like that was insane to me.
just having them slip straight into their just sort of puppetry slapstick and their fun voices that like we'd spoken to them, we knew what they sounded like. That was not what they sounded like when they had a puppet on
They
the
pulled
front.
that, they had a crazy deep bag in terms of puppetry and voice acting and all of that.
Something I did say to Max pretty much after the first performance was that Tao had a duck puppet that they were performing with. There was something in the voice that
Oh
had a
my.
very Rizzo-like quality to it. And I
They,
remember going up and talking to him later and trying to bring that up in the most normal way, being like, dude, I felt like
hey,
there was sort of a Rizzo-ness to that. Like,
dude, I'm just getting picking up on this like Rizzo aura to you, bro. Like you just got kind of giving off Rizzo energy.
just, getting a Rizzo vibe. It was just so, like, incredibly
I'm
entertaining
gonna fully
experience.
agree with Will that Tao after that performance, I was like, they need to recast Rizzo immediately as Tao. And it was just both Brandon and Tao had such beautiful puppetry performances. As Will said, the slapstick, the comedy was fantastic. But while they were performing We Are All Earthlings, which is one of my favorite songs in Muppet, this entirety of the Muppet catalog,
Their discography.
I like Sesame Street just was so incredible. Joe Raposo was so great at making these like beautiful, beautiful emotional songs. Getting to see two Sesame Street puppeteers perform this beautiful song about loving our Earth, surrounded by a community of people who all love and care for another, it just like it made me cry. It was so beautiful and emotional. And it was like the first stop on the tour, and I'm already crying. It was beautiful. Joe Hennis and Heather Henson, before that performance happened, they had the mics on, they were giving us all the info. And then after that, I'm pretty sure we walked. Did we go to the dairy house first, or did we stop anywhere before that?
I want to say it was the pond, and then it was the dairy house, and then it was that
Yes.
big sort of arch by the fountain, which was directly, I want to say, just before we got to Jim's bench.
Oh yeah. So I want to
Oh my
say,
goodness me.
as we were walking through with Lucas Ross and all everyone else singing along, doing all that, we ended up at the Dairy House. I am so sorry that I am blanking on the specific importance to Henson that the Dairy House had, but come on the tour next year and you can learn why it was important that we stopped there.
Well, I believe
Um,
in the dairy house they had like corporate events there, where they would come for sort of like rap parties or like have like
See,
meetings
that
there, I
sounds
believe.
right.
But the thing that we were there for were some recreations of some classic Jim Henson ads. Again, with Brandon and Tao, it was like, oh, I'm 5 years old, I'm clapping at the puppets. But you know
It
what?
was insane.
Oh, just God, what a time.
Two things I loved about the Dairy House is that one, there was a lot of people who were not on the tour who just saw like, oh my God, there's just two puppets performing, and they stopped and joined in and got to like watch this awesome performance. And two, getting to see Jim Henson sketches live, like even these ones that are from the 50s, like these things that are so like the early stages of Muppets. Jim Henson was a genius. They still hit so hard. They physically hit so hard because everyone gets hit or in an explosion.
It's
Like,
a big club. Somebody's getting
yeah,
physically hit so hard over the
you
head.
don't like Wonkin's coffee? I will fucking kill you, is the sketch.
You don't want to drink coffee? This is your last day.
You're
This is
not
it.
you're not eating Kernston's bread? Get the fuck out or I'll shoot you. Is
I
that's what it says.
I want you to buy chow mein in a can so bad that I'm going to destroy your establishment.
These are the Troy Dragons!
We watched that on the big like Muppets 70 compilation. I was like, this is a Tim Robinson sketch. This
Oh,
is
dude,
Tim
straight up,
Robinson
it
doing
felt
like a
like
chow mein ad.
it's the back and forth between the LaChoy Dragon and the woman shopping, and then the way he's just like, yeah, that's me. I'm the LaChoy Dragon. It felt like a sketch in Deech. It felt like an ad that Sam and Tim would have cooked up in Detroit.
Detroiters.
Like literally.
So good.
Oh my
But
God. So,
But yeah, that just
we
just seeing like little Jim sketches performed as sort of like an interlude in between getting some like really good information that was it would be like Joe and Heather were like giving like a sort of a mini I don't want to say lecture, but that is kind of what it was, like a
yeah,
lecture
I
about the
mean,
importance of the area. And like Karen Falk would chime in about sort of like the archives relevance to it, and like Richard Michael Gomez and had his like public. By the way, while all of this was happening, Heather had a big green owl on a stick,
yes.
made by Richard Michael Gomez, the puppeteer, just
Yeah,
shaking
shout
it
out
around the
Richard.
whole time, just in between, like sticking it up in the air to let us know that she was there, and just having a time, shaking this owl around on a stick. What what a joyous sight to see.
I want to say shout out Richard Michael Gomez not only for that green bird puppet, but just letting us play with his beautifully crafted puppets all weekend. Like, thank you for that. And their partner Kate was super cool to hang out with as well. Just great people all around.
I was gonna say Kate Get Fuzzied gave me one of my favorite experiences, which was getting to interact with one of their little puppets, Snip.
Yes!
The oh my God, just the voice, the mannerisms, just his look. Oh my goodness, I that little man's burned in my brain. And my goodness, Richard and Kate, what a special time it was to have you
I
guys and your puppetry there for the whole weekend.
I want to say they're both so talented. Both of them are extremely talented. And also, like, Kate, I'm not going to say the exact thing that they told me, but they gave me a compliment on the walking tour that was the most like gender affirming like compliment I've received like ever. And it just was like the most affirming thing on the weekend to not only have this great experience with all these friends, but then have people notice the like big gender thing. Because I've been on this big gender journey, I'm non-binary, and for someone to just kind of pick up on those things and give a compliment that was so like direct with that was incredible. But yeah, speaking of just this green bird, Heather, what's the exact name of
The
her
Green
company?
Feather Organization.
The Green
We're
Feather
going to shout out
Organization.
Heather and the Green Feather Organization, who not only does a lot of like practical puppetry work and sort of like active, sort of
Yeah, they
like making
produce
our hands-on stuff in New York City in the Henson Associates building. It's a lot of working in these creative formats as a form of therapy as well, which is
mhm.
such a beautiful thing to have like puppetry be an active like outlet for.
Puppetry shit, it has always been this like beautiful emotional tool. Like the reason Sesame Street was successful in teaching emotional education was because of the puppets. It would not have been successful if it was just a human cast. And I think it's beautiful that Heather is carrying on that legacy too.
Genuinely such like a special thing to want to be because like a lot of the Henson kids had sort of like a hand in like keeping Jim's sort of what in keeping Jim's kind of like his attitudes and
Yeah.
his practices going. Like Brian obviously took over sort of like central production of the Muppets and like and Heather's
Cheryl's still
doing
so involved in the company, like Lisa doing
absolutely
all this
yeah.
stuff.
And like Heather doing this with puppetry actively in New York. I'm so gutted because I went on the Monday night, there was a puppetry workshop going on at the Jim Henson Legacy building, and
Yes.
I would have given anything to make it, but I could not, and I would, but
Same.
just the
I had
fact
to
that
get
things
back to Seattle.
I had already made like prior dinner plans with friends who like I was only seeing once when they were in the city, and as much as I would have given anything to be at that puppetry workshop, I wanted to see my friends.
I'm not giving. I love you Muppets, but I'll do your teaching of choosing my friends. That's
Hmm.
what they would have wanted. But
Yeah,
like, yeah,
like Kermit would want me to hang out with my friends, and that's what ultimately made the decision for me.
and yeah, getting to spend this time with Heather at the Dairy House was really fantastic. She was like a really, really great at conveying this information. We left the Dairy House, and I'm pretty. Oh yes, we went to that archway that had this all these mosaics and stuff. I forget the exact name of it because it's like there's hella things in Central Park where it's like this thing's called that, this thing's called that. I wasn't gonna remember a single thing.
Tell you what, we did have great acoustics, we learned.
It did, and we sang.
I don't want to
On
live
live
on
on
the
the
moon.
moon. Wait, or did we sing I'm not going back? I'm going to go back there someday. I thought we sung
No,
that.
that was Don't Want to Live on the Moon was under there because we had the like moon.
Oh my God,
We had
yeah.
our little choir practice again. I
All right,
desperately didn't want to
everybody.
fail.
Moon. Say it with me. Moon.
Just oh my goodness, such a
I
beautiful
love that
time.
like halfway through people would just forget their parts and just kind
Yeah,
of
we're just like
sing
we're
the
just gonna sing the
song.
lyrics.
We're
And you
just
know
singing the
what?
lyrics.
Real. It all contributed in a kind of like a really beautiful way. But we did
I
that and then
oh
immediately
I
oh.
just wanted to say, right before we got to this like mosaic archway stuff, somebody pointed out to me that a certain magical man was on this tour as
Oh my
well.
goodness, how could we forget?
He magically appeared back into our brains.
We were like magic. We were walking along, and I believe it was our friend Joe Muppetology was
Joe Muppetology, who
chatting
I
it
love
up with
dearly.
somebody on the walking tour. And we're like, oh, Joe's making a pal. Very sort of very magical pal.
Yeah, this magical, handsome man. I wonder
Very
who he is.
yes, this man with a sort of mystical aura about him. Who could he be? This incredible stranger in double
He's
denim
giving
and a
off
Kermit
of with
shirt.
special guest the Muppets vibe, I would say.
This guy seems like he would do something featuring special guest the Muppets. I'm with
With special guest the Muppets. So we learned that Rob Lake, who we talked about earlier,
Rob
he
Lake magic, baby. He was on the
ended up
walking
being
tour the
on the
whole
tour.
time, and it took us a good halfway through to realize that he was.
Okay, and the reason I'm laughing so hard at this is not because, okay, so Rob was awesome, super nice guy, like really took the time to talk to everyone.
Really
But like
genuinely lovely and entertained our inane, moronic questions about the Muppets.
yeah, he answered everything with so much kindness and patience when we were like, so like what's your favorite Muppet, man?
Like, what? How did you meet Kermit?
So how you worked with Kermit at Disney? That's so cool. He's just like, yeah. He was
Yeah,
but
man.
I'm laughing so hard because I I don't want to come off like I was like immediately a hater of the Rob Lake magic starring the Muppets thing.
It was the kind of
I'll go on record in saying I'm not speaking for Will here. I'll go on record in saying that I saw that announced and I was like, this seems very corporate. This seems like a not really authentic Muppet move. I ate the biggest plate of crow at Momi weekend. Like I literally I went from being like, I don't know about this Muppet Magic thing to being like, I need tickets. I need Rob Lake's house address so I can send him a bouquet of flowers. Like
I just I think
yeah, I'll publicly say it. I was wrong. Hand to the stand. I was wrong about Rob Lake Magic featuring starring special guest the Muppets.
I think what it was that we had been fed all of this idea about like Muppets on Broadway and like it got it in our head that it was going to be like a
Like
stage
Christmas
adaptation
Carol
of
or something.
Manhattan Melodies or like a stage adaptation of like Muppet Christmas Carol, and it was Rob Lake featuring the Muppets, and it was like, okay, feel like we got a sour deal here. How do we even know that this is like a thing that like this guy's genuinely invested in? Talking
Who
to him for
knows?
literally 2 minutes, it was so like he was so upfront with just how like important the Muppets were to like his
Dude.
journey like in show business in its entirety. And I was like, well, now I can't be fucking upset about it.
Yeah,
This is
now
the
I'm
worst
feeling a
day
dick.
because now I really like Rob. He's just like a stand-up guy. He was like
He
good to
was so
talk to.
kind.
And he made it clear, very clear at the end of the walking tour as well, when he sort of spoke to all of us, the Muppets are going to be like about because it's like yeah, the Muppets are going to be a part of this show that is meaningful to him. And I'm like,
Yes.
well, you're clearly like on our grind set here. You're on
Yeah,
our like wavelength.
you're clearly realizing that Rob Lake was indeed a massive, massive Muppet fan. I was like, oh, I feel like a jerk because I immediately wrote off this show and I thought he had no involvement with the Muppets. He, we can just talk about this now, because we're talking about Rob. He, held court at the carriage house,
Mhm.
and, got us all in the room and was like, guys, this is the most important, thing of my career to work with the Muppets. He, dead ass was like, this is to me the most important thing I will do in my career is working with the Muppets. And I'm like,
This is
oh,
the pinnacle of my time in show business. And I was
I'm
like,
like,
okay, well, first of all, that's the correct answer to working with the
yes,
Muppets. But second of all, it was like, damn, from the get-go, it seemed like the kind of thing that like Disney would have like assembled in a boardroom. But it's like
yes,
this
that's
guy
exactly it.
really genuinely rocks with the Muppets in a way that makes me pleased that he's going to be the one to sort of like break this boundary of like ushering them into Broadway. And it's like, I'm genuinely grateful. And
That's
like Max was
exactly
eating
what I
crow. I was reaching over the table and taking forkfuls. I was munching on that crow right along with him.
I literally I'm glad you said it you ended it by saying that because I totally agree that I think Rob is a fantastic person to usher in hopefully a new era of the Muppets. And the fact that he specifically asked and used his pull within the Disney company to get the Muppets on Broadway is super respected. And so Rob, if you're watching this, big fans, man. Sorry I
We
called you Rob Link like 3 times in this episode already.
we listen. In this house, we are all Rob Lake enjoyers. We are all Roblings. We
We're
are
big Roblings. Okay, the inside joke with the Muppet House is
oh
that we're
goodness.
the we're big Roblink. We're unironically now we are Roblink fans, but we're the Roblings. things.
We were on a Discord call the other night with a bunch of us, just like going through his website and watching YouTube clips of some of his sort of like more dramatic like tricks and feats. And it's like we're dialed in on Rob Lake now. Anyway,
Dude, I genuinely
go see Rob Lake Magic featuring special guest The Muppets when it hits Broadway in October, by the
I
way. We're
I
not
was
sponsored.
saying I was saying on Discord the other night that like genuinely we might be the world's biggest Rob Lake fans now
And that's a
because we have
challenge.
like
If
we
anybody
can
thinks they're a bigger Rob Lake fan than us, then you got another thing coming.
literally we have consumed so much Rob Lake media in the past few weeks that it's just like I don't think anyone's watched as much Rob Lake as
It's
us now.
so far past being a bit. We're in this
We're
life now.
just fans now. Like we
We
love his
are
magic.
about this.
Oh
But
my God.
Rob
Okay,
was
so moving on from Mr. Robert Lakeford,
he was somebody lovely to meet on the walking tour. But
Robert
my goodness, what
Lakington.
would come afterwards was definitely like a highlight of the tour because oh
This
my
was
goodness.
one of the greatest moments of my young life so far, low
It
key.
it was something that we knew was coming because like we're not going to go to Central Park on a walking tour and we're not going to like avoid Jim Henson's memorial bench in the park. We knew
Yeah,
it was coming, but I don't think any of us had, even those who had emotionally readied themselves, nobody did it enough because you
dude,
cannot prepare for a moment like that enough.
I'm getting
Mm.
chills all over from
I'm
you
like
saying that because just
recalling this, I'm like I'm goosebumped right now.
as exactly what Will said, like we all knew that we would get to see Jim Henson's bench in Central Park, but the actual like energy that was coming, like I don't care if this sounds crazy, like you turn and you get to this bench and you can straight up just feel everything Henson put into the world. You get yours, and not only because you're just surrounded by so many people who care about his work and are there and passionate about it, you can tell that this specific spot was picked so specifically. It wasn't just a random bench in a random place. It truly felt like I am getting to be where Jim stood and feel his incredible, incredible contributions to the world just through every bone in my body. It was, I can't even describe like the feelings when I saw that bench. Again, I started crying.
It was just also significant, as you said. It genuinely, like, not to like overhype it or anything. It genuinely felt like we were walking on hallowed ground. It
No,
felt like
straight
we
up.
were on a pilgrimage. We were on holy ground, stood there.
Like, I
Um,
don't care if we came off like a Muppet cult because like Jim Henson's work is so, so deeply meaningful to me and everyone that was there. It's exactly what you've said. It felt like hallowed ground. It felt like something that was just this beautiful, beautiful, intimate experience where we got to be where Jim stood. And that I would never trade that for the world.
And what made this particular landmark on the walking tour very special was that it was a little bit more than just a sort of like, we'll stand here, we'll tell you a bit of information, we'll move on.
We'll take a photo.
We got to have a really beautiful, intimate experience where we were handed out chalks and things, and everybody got the opportunity to write a little message on the bench. And it was something that wouldn't be permanent, so as not to damage the bench and not to ruin the experience for anybody coming forward. But it was something for us to leave our mark for our special weekend and for us celebrating Jim and his birthday in this meaningful way. And you could tell very quickly who the like artists were among us
Yeah.
because we were seeing some beautiful like little doodles and
Insane chalk
illustrations
art.
on the tarmac around the bench and on the bench itself, and you could tell who could just about muster writing something in chalk. That was me. I could just about write thank you Jim
Same.
on the bench. You if you could read it and it was legible, then I had done my job. But it was so incredibly emotional. Just that first part of getting to be in the presence of the bench, getting to see the little Jim Henson placard, and getting to just like leave some little, even ever so temporary memento on this bench was just so beautiful and overwhelmed. I'm really trying not hard not to get
I know,
misty.
dude. I'm getting so emotional right now.
Oh my goodness, Meg, yeah.
To stop you from crying, I'll jump in real quick.
Mhm.
Ge- Getting to leave, as Will said, just a temporary thank you to Jim or just a message to Jim and his legacy. that made it even more special. The fact that these were going to wash away, that these, like Jim, it had a short, like these things, I think it was very representative of the way Jim contributed to the world, his lifespan, that even though his life on Earth and everyone's life is like this temporary thing, he brought so much to it. And every single person who was writing on that bench were people who were deeply impacted by everything he put out. And I also want to point out that longtime Sesame Street director John Stone, his bench was also right next to Jim's in Central Park. That also made me extremely emotional. I know there's like definitely some controversy in terms of how kind of like people say he was kind of mean to Carol Spinney and shit. But just seeing someone who was so integral in Sesame Street's role of providing educational accessibility to children of color, I was just so emotional. Like John Stone, regardless if he was a little bit of a dick when he was like directing, he really impacted the world so incredibly too. And then like the last thing I was gonna say real quick about the bench was that like as Will said, it wasn't just this experience of we take a photo, we look at the bench, we learn some information about it. We spent a good amount of time there. We sang Rainbow Connection, and
Oh, goodness.
that moment of Lucas Ross getting us all and behind the bench, everyone with their puppets, everybody just so happy and sharing in this experience of writing on the bench, getting to sing Rainbow Connection was so emotionally impactful. This song that is so representative to every single person here in so many different ways. I know we could all relate to that in like the sense of community, the sense of like our journeys in life. Rainbow Connection was the most like emotionally devastating thing we could have sang because oh my God, there was not a single dry eye after we sang Rainbow Connection at Jim Henson's bench.
There was not a single other song that it could have possibly been, but there was just the littlest part of me that was like, I don't think I can do this. Could we not do this? And then we started it, and it was just so beautiful because nobody needed to be told the words. There was not a single person looking at the lyric
Yes.
sheet. We all just sort of knew it, and were just so kind of cosmically connected in that moment. Not to sound like
No, I agree with you.
not to go on a bit of like a Janice thing. It's
Like
like
a
we're
Muppets
so
from
kind.
space.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, we're so
We're,
cosmically
we're so connected
connected.
by the cosmos.
Oh, wow, Roy, I'm really into space, dude.
But it genuinely felt like there was just something binding us all together in that time. And it was just like it was such a beautiful choir, all singing out from the heart. I had my partner right there next to me, and I was holding him, probably one of the like holding his hand like the tightest I probably ever held it. And he knew that I was crying, and I could barely make it. I still had my stupid frog on my right hand, who I was also making him sing along and doing like the little gestures and stuff. It was just, oh my goodness, yeah, getting to all sing this beautiful, beautiful song together was just such a special part of it. And it really, as Max said, just kind of solidified how we were all brought together by this one man and his work. And even though like our marks there would be temporary, even after we left and even after the chalk had washed away and been like one all trace of our visit there had gone, the bench was still going to be there, and everything that Jim had left behind was still going to be there. And that was kind of the beautiful thing of, even though it was very difficult to leave the bench towards the end, just that thing that we were holding on to was just like, wow, it's so special that like, because like I would look down and there was Megan, somebody who's like one of the people who brought me into this sort of online fold, and she was singing with me, and there was Max and Shelby and Michaela and Ashling and Joe and Sam and Leah and Jake and just and these and people that I respected and loved, like Heather and like Joe Toppings.
Yes.
I've mentioned two different Joes now. But it was just, yeah, wow, such an incredibly special moment. I would say that that was probably, I don't like to say there was a highlight of the walking tour
Yeah,
because
it
there
was
were several
incredible.
incredibly special moments. I would like to say that it is a highlight of the walking tour.
That is one of the best moments I've experienced in terms of just being with my friends and unabashedly loving and enjoying something and basking in that. What I loved about singing Rainbow Connection is that there wasn't a single person who was like embarrassed. It wasn't like this thing where we're like, oh, we're about to all bust in the song. Everyone understood how special of a moment it was. And the fact that these people that like only a few hours ago, even though as Will pointed out, there was a ton of people there that I was able to see, these friends that I'm so happy I got to hang out with, just getting to be with all of these strangers who I didn't know at all before the tour started, but then we all got this beautiful connection by singing Rainbow Connection, feeling everything that Jim left in the world. And like as Will said, having the chalk wash away felt so representative of Jim Henson's time on Earth, how he's impacted us. It felt very special to leave something for Jim and leave something for other people to come see when they come and look at Jim Henson's bench. They can see purely in front of them the love and everything he put out into the world. So I can agree with Will fully that doing the Rainbow Connection singing at the Jim Henson bench was one of the most special moments that I've experienced. Getting to do that with Will and all of our other friends was just, I wouldn't trade that for the world. And knowing that I have this foundation with these friends where we've had this like beautiful experience about this shared interest, it just makes me feel so happy and confident about just being an adult and being somebody who can confidently say like I have these cool ass Muppet friends and I would never trade doing it with them for the world. I would never trade. I could not imagine me being on that bench by myself without any of these people because it having a community there made it special.
Community was so at the core of this event, and it was that song and that sort of union at the bench that really solidified it. And yeah, doing the rest of the tour after that was, and it was still so, continued to be so informative, even after we had made our way out of the park and we got to see the whole old Henson offices and stuff. The tour ended at the Henson Associates building, the Jim Henson Legacy building, the Carriage House. And I think probably that was the biggest surprise on the tour, being allowed in, being ushered into this gorgeously decorated office and to this little room at the end, which Megan pointed out to me because I filmed a little video for her. For any fans of the seasoned Muppeteer Steve Whitmire, this room that we were all stood in was the room in which he first performed as Kermit the Frog in front of family, friends, and Henson Associates. It was the first time that he had performed as Kermit the Frog. So what a
So
special
special.
location to be in. Just surrounded by so many like Henson artifacts all over the walls, huge framed photos of like old Muppet shoots, old Muppet calendars, vintage posters all over the wall, little trinkets, framed photos of Jim and Jane Henson, a huge like blown up photo of Jim, and this little room at the end which had the most
Oh
incredible.
my God.
I believe it was from
Can I
Harry's
say
personal
some
collection.
stuff before we reveal what that is? Because that
Yes.
is like the most like what Will is alluding to, and I will talk about as soon as I get my little piece out about the carriage house, was I can't like I don't think you're prepared for like how insane of this if you're a Muppet fan.
Not at all.
So, as Will said, we left the bench. We took a walk through New York to get to the carriage house. This was the last part of Jim Henson's walk to work. I will say I got a T. I don't care if this is a little TMI. I got to a point where I was like, I need a bathroom, and so I was like ducking into hotels before we got into the carriage house. And so
Like,
kindly, Karen Falk, head archivist of the Jim Henson Company, was like pulled me aside, was like, "There'll be a restroom at the carriage house," and I got to have this great experience because I had seen Karen Falk at the Puget Sound Puppetry Festival here in Seattle, and we got to have this moment of like, "Oh hey, like you were at that thing in Seattle," and I'm like, "Yes," and I saw you, and I can't believe you remember me, and it was just like, it was really special. And so we walked down to the carriage house. I knew going into this tour that we would end at the carriage house, but I didn't really get what that like meant. I know I was very aware that Jim Henson had multiple offices within New York. He had multiple like places to stay at. but I don't really think I understood the sheer significance of what the carriage house was. Like this was the Jim Henson office building while Henson was alive. It was like this four-story townhouse that they produced everything from. Like this was the hub next, and like, it was near the Creature Shop in New York, but it was the hub of all Muppet goings on. Everything that was happening in London and Toronto and LA and stuff, they all had to kind of report back to this central Muppet hub in New York City. And getting to walk in there and see so many, as Will said, Muppet artifacts, Muppet framed photos, it was the most insane. I'm underselling in the way I'm talking about it, how insane it was to walk in there. And I want to point out specifically what made me feel so just beyond happy and beyond like respect. Like the respect that I have for the Jim Henson Company was and Heather Henson and all these people involved were so much further emphasized because you get in there and they immediately the first thing you see is a no humans are illegal sign. And you have this
Wow.
like anti-ICE like pro-immigrant messaging where it's like this is why I love Henson because they stood on business and caring about all kinds of people, caring about every single person, and getting to go into the carriage house, this place where Jim Henson created his legacy, to walk in and the first thing I see be like pro-immigrant messaging was so incredible and it reaffirmed everything I feel about Henson and its importance in the world. But getting in there, I was so blown away by every single thing because it's not just like photos of the Muppets. You feel like you're walking into a place that you shouldn't be allowed into, like a place that
Hmm.
Henson associates are like only allowed to see. And like getting to like see boxes on the wall that clearly had puppet building material in it, getting to see characters put up on the wall where it's so clear that Henson himself must have had a hand in getting this piece of decoration. It just felt so like I am behind the scenes in this place I've always dreamt of being at, to be behind the curtain of something that I respect so deeply. Getting to see all of those things was just monumental. And that's not even the biggest thing that was at the carriage house.
Well, I kind of alluded to it, but there was something pretty exciting at the carriage house that we were not expecting. As we were sort of like being ushered in, I could kind of see a glimpse of it past people's heads. I was going in. I'm sort of on the shorter side, so I wasn't see. If Max was stood in front of me, I wasn't seeing a damn thing.
Yeah, not a
But
chance.
I was like seeing it, and I was like, oh my God, is that on a TV screen? Is that on like a poster board thing? I couldn't quite believe it, but just sort of like on a little pedestal with a few little decorations out there in the open, not even in a glass box, was like a screen quality Kermit the Frog puppet.
I
In a little
I can't
pose.
believe it.
Oh my goodness gracious, how did they manage this? Like,
Dude,
what?
I
They put him out there and just like let us hang with him? Oh
there
my
a few
goodness.
things I want to point out. Like, if you're a Muppet fan, you're probably aware of this. Disney is so like lock and key with these Muppets. It is impossible to get a photo with a Muppet that is not in a museum behind glass. Like, it's just that's like the only way you can do it. This Kermit the Frog like was just out there, just literally standing in the middle of the room, and you could like I could have kissed that fucking Kermit. I literally there was no glass. It
I
was
nearly
just
did.
like I did. I
I
made out
nearly
with
did.
him.
I almost went for it.
I went. I'm
We got
smacked on him.
oh my God. We got some photos together, me and Max, and there was one where I kind of gestured like I was high-fiving him, but I did not dare touch that thing for fear
Dude,
that they would never let me near him again.
I literally was like, I got so close to that Kermit, but I did not touch him because I was like, if I fucking touch this Kermit, I'm gonna get a harpoon through my chest right now.
Bob
Like,
Iger is gonna burst through the door and he's gonna grab you with his like meaty little hands and he's gonna strangle you.
his
But
Mickey gloved hands and strangle me to death. Like,
But it was
I
just like I want to say I don't remember who I heard it from. It could have been completely fictitious. Could have been completely made up. I feel like it was maybe from Heather's personal collection.
See, that's what I heard too. I was under the impression that this Kermit the Frog puppet was two things. One, it was a photo puppet. It did not have like the hole on the bottom to be able to be puppeteered normally. If you're not aware, photo puppets for a lot of promotional material, things like magazine covers, calendar covers, Hallmark cards, things like that.
Glamour
They would
shoots,
yeah,
the
just
trading
general photo shoots,
cards.
trading cards. They would take a puppet, they would build an entire new puppet that was specifically made to be posable for photos. And was led to believe by people on this tour that this is Heather's personal Kermit, which is fucking insane to me that we got to be in a
Wow.
room intimately, like no glass, with Heather Henson's Kermit. Like,
If it is true, then it is well. If not, then being allowed up that
still
close
incredible.
to like a screen quality Kermit, regardless, was an incredible experience.
It was the most beautiful thing. Like, this Kermit clearly is a real Kermit the Frog, not like a fan replica. It was genuinely Kermit. And getting to fucking be in a room again, I keep saying no glass, but I'm just trying to emphasize how insane it is to see a actual Henson puppet not behind glass at a museum, being right next to him, getting to just be in a room with Kermit the Frog, one of the greatest experiences of my life, genuinely.
Genuinely so incredibly special. But what I really did like about that, as well as just like a thing that was there, was that having that there implies just sort of like a level of trust. And
Yes,
what I really liked it was that everybody kind of treated it with a degree of respect that is deserving of it.
a hundred
There was
percent.
no like nobody attempted any like funny business. Nobody like manhandled it, picked it up, like it's like across the line.
Every
There was just a sense of everybody understood like the importance and just sort of the implicit trust that was put in us by putting a Kermit the Frog puppet just like out there in our midst.
and
And
I want to point
yeah,
out that Heather was very, very kind, and not just Heather, but like anybody who was involved here to get that Kermit in that room for us. I
wow.
cannot stress enough how special of an experience this was, and as Will said, like a trusting thing where that they trusted us as these massive Muppet fans to get that close to Kermit, something that like some dude, you hear stories about people working with the Muppets who like can't even like get like touch the Kermit and they're like puppeteering on the same project and shit. Like to be that close to Kermit, insanity. And I just also want to say with that is that I feel comfortable talking about Kermit and getting to see this actual real puppet. Um, because like they said after the fact, like after we had all taken a big group photo with this Kermit, they were like, all right, guys, don't post about it. And like
Don't show anybody.
half the people in that room had already made a post about it on their
Yeah, it
Instagram
was
story.
you give a bunch of like frequent Muppet social media users photo access to a Kermit the Frog.
Uh,
You got minutes before that stuff's online. You
and
got
like
minutes before he's out there.
I feel comfortable talking about this because so many people have spilled the beans that this Kermit was at the event that I'm like, yeah, it's on Rob Lake's website. Like, I can't, like,
Yeah, he
there's
put it
not,
out
like,
there.
us talking about it in this podcast is like the least amount of exposure that it's already gotten.
It was a thing where I was terrified of posting it because I think it was Joe Toughpigs was like, be careful. And I was like,
Yeah,
of
I
course,
didn't
Joe
post it
Toughpigs.
for
I will
a
hang on
long
your
time.
word, Joe Toughpigs. But it was a thing where I was like, yeah, ooh, is this allowed? Is this allowed? What the fuck?
Er.
But you know what? I need to post a or several of the photos that I got with that thing because
Yeah,
I didn't
we're at a point
actually
now where we can absolutely,
When
and
this
I just want
episode
to,
drops, mark my words, I will post accompanying Kermit photos. That's
oh
gonna
yeah,
be the
we'll
post
post a
promoting
photo
it.
of us
Yeah,
together with that Kermit.
hell yeah.
And I
But
just want
that
to
was,
say,
oh, sorry.
with, oh no, you're so good. I just wanted to quickly say that, like, as we talked about singing Rainbow Connection at the Jim Henson bench, it was, it was such like a equally beautiful experience to be in a room with the actual real Kermit the Frog, owned by, potentially owned by a Henson, if not still a real one. it was like this beautiful moment where we're all taking a photo with this Kermit, and you can look around to every person at you and directly see the incredible impact of Jim Henson's work. That every single person that was standing around cheering for this photo were just people who all came together under a shared love for something that's so great and has contributed so much to the world. And getting to be next to Kermit with all of these people, I wouldn't trade that for the world.
I think that's really poignant. And I think it sort of like hammers home, just this Kermit being there really hammers home every single thing about this experience, not just with the walking tour, but specifically with the walking tour, but with the entire weekend. There was just such a sense of like pulling out all the stops to make it such a special time. And like, and it's not just the Henson Foundation. It's not just Heather. It's not just Joe. It's not just the Museum of the Moving Image. It's not just everybody who contributed to it. It was so special on everybody who participated part. It was a moment for all of us, but it was a moment for us as individuals as well. It just was such a special time, and I'm really glad that it seemed like everybody really got that out of it. And
I
that
really
way to end the tour, like it took me a while before I left the carriage house. A lot of people had to leave immediately because it was like we gotta
Yeah.
go because like our free lunch at the Momi's gonna end. And
Free lunch at the movie, which
I
I'll
made
get.
it there by the skin of my teeth. I went some crazy on some of the little chicken paninis and
Oh, those were actually good.
tiny
I
cans of
actually I
Sprite that
fucked
they
those
were dishing
up.
out. Oh, I went crazy on those little sandwiches. But
I
I
I
stayed
love
behind in the carriage house with my partner Mikey and with Megan Malone's pops and just sort of like basked in it all. One of the beautiful things that happened at the end of this tour was that we were all given this beautiful art poster for free.
yes. I
That
can grab it right now,
you're
actually.
gonna grab it? Well,
Yeah.
as you grab it, another thing that we were given were these beautiful art cards. There's the poster.
Oh,
There.
I have the art cards too.
If you're listening, just imagine that Max just showed off a really beautiful
Yeah.
poster.
Hey, audio listeners, go fuck yourself. I'm
We're
holding
gonna
up this
do we're gonna do a
awesome
very
poster.
we're gonna do a 3 hour description of every detail in this poster for you.
So there's Yorick right here and Clement right there, and then Cookie Monster right here.
But it is just that it is a poster of the front cover of the book, The Art of the Muppets, essentially. But it was gorgeous, and we were very grateful to be given it. But what we were also given was a pack of these trading cards. Thank you, Max. They're another visual aid there that were made by the artist Will Carroll, commissioned for this event. And there was a whole assortment of different cards you could get. Some of them were like metallic foil ones.
Oh
And
yeah, I'll show some of that right now.
show some of those while I'm talking. We were all given like a pack of these, and something was an incredibly special experience that me and Mikey and Megan had with these cards and with Heather was that we were just sort of like sat around talking with Heather for a really long time. And we were given these cards and we were like, oh, we want to do like a little video where we open them live. And Heather like hung around while we were doing this video and like reacted with us as we did like card pulls opening these. They're both videos that I have posted on my socials, but we did like like on TikTok, there's guys who will do like live streams where they buy like packets of Pokemon
Yes.
cards and they like do the pulls and they flip over one card at a time and dramatically. We did that, but with these cards that were given to us by an artist commissioned for this event. And we
I
had
just
Heather
wanna
Henson reacting to each card that we pulled out. Mikey got by far the best pull of the whole lot. He got a metallic foil, I don't want to live on the moon, Ernie.
Oh, my metallic foil one is this holographic Gobo and Wembley Fraggle,
Oh,
which is
that's really
just
cute.
adorable. And I want
I
to quickly just point out with Will Carroll, I think it's super special that Heather Henson commissioned a Muppet fan to make
Mhm.
art and make something for this trip. I think it was insanely cool that they handed these out and we all got to like have this social thing of trading these awesome Muppet cards with each other and everyone could get their favorite characters. I also think Will Carroll, they were so cool that whole weekend in terms of like sharing their art and just like being such a cool person within this community. I bought an awesome Gobo Fraggle drawing off of them. Really appreciate that. But what was so special about these to me is that there's so many obscure Henson characters in this trading card pack,
There
and
were
it
some
really emphasizes.
deep cuts.
Dude, I've got a Sir Lint card,
My God.
like
I've
Sir Lint,
One
like
of my favorite cards that I pulled in my pack was that I pulled timepiece Jim Henson.
Yes.
That was oh from his
My
short he
favorite
made an
card.
obscure experimental short film called Timepiece, and it was him with his head on the dinner plate with the help. Um,
Well,
help. Really cool. But yeah, I do envy Mikey's Ernie just a little bit.
my favorite here is my Tug Molly and Boo card because who the hell makes art of Tug Molly and Boo? Like
That's
that's
an
awesome. Like shout out
incredible
Will.
cut.
And I
My
just like,
I
oh,
got
I just
I
want.
oh sorry.
Ah, ah!
You go ahead.
I wanted to say real quick that as Will was still at the carriage house, we all had this great intimate experience with the Kermit. A lot of people were moving on to go to the Museum of the Moving Image. A lot of people were Ubering. A lot of people would like. I personally was like, Johannes Tough Pigs is leading a group of people to the train. I could go in an Uber with my Muppet pals, or I can go on the train with Joe. And it was so fun and so cool to just
Good
be
little
riding.
adventure.
Dude, yeah, going like riding through New York, just like all in Muppet outfits. I started talking to that dude Gav. Gav was great that whole weekend. Shout out to him. He was wearing this sick ass Farscape hat like the whole weekend, which is another Jim Henson deep cut. Like,
It was Yeah, getting to spend so much time with Heather and Megan in the carriage house was really special. Oh my goodness, one of the most special, but simultaneously one of the most embarrassing things that happened to me that whole weekend happened with Heather in the carriage house. Because I had gone in a shirt that was, if you're watching, similar to this, it was sort of like a 70s-ish sort of button up. This is just how I dress when I dress nice. From the second that I got to the meeting point for the walking tour, about two or three people called me Jim. This is because I have large hair, a beard, and kind of like dress in sort of like 70s-ish. It's not an active choice that I make. 90%. I do like that I somewhat resemble him a little tiny bit, but it's not an act. I'm not like going about my daily life cosplaying Jim Henson. And
yeah,
I
you're
was
not
just
trying to be Jim.
terrified that that was how I was going to come across on this walking tour. I was like, oh my God, are people going to think that I'm cosplaying Jim Henson? Is that really insensitive? Am I going to get booed out? Are people going to throw things at me? What the hell's Heather going to think of me? Tell you what Heather ended up thinking of me
Dude.
was that while we were at the carriage house, as I said, there's a big blown up photo of Jim with a bunch of the Muppets. Heather asked me to come over by that big blown up photo and asked for, on her phone, asked for photos of us together, of her like pointing at me, like next to Jim in this photograph, had me pose like Jim was posed, like his posture in this photograph, had me replicate it so we could get
Dude.
photos together for her.
It's
I
it's a very cool thing, but it's also a little bit like
It's
I
the
like this
scariest
is your
thing that has ever
dad, and
happened to
I'm
me because I
still
was
like
like,
I hope I'm
what is
not being
this?
insensitive.
Yeah, what is this? What did you mean by that? Like, what did you mean by that?
You say I look exactly like Jim Henson, like are you
Yeah,
fucking like
I'm not. Yeah, that's not what I was trying to do, but
see
like, thank
while
you.
Will
But also, like, oh,
while Will's having this experience where the spotlight is on him with Heather Henson, I'm in a freaking subway car with a bunch of like with Joe and the Sesame Street puppeteers, and we're all just like having a Muppet time. I had no idea that Will was getting like fucking spotlighted
yeah, I
while
was
this was
just
going on.
hanging out with Heather, doing like Pokemon card pulls and yucking it up in front of the gym photo. Wild, wild.
Yeah,
Um,
and so we end up going to MOMI. So finally, after all of this stuff we've been talking about, we finally make it to the Museum of the Moving Image, where
actually
this
made it to
happens.
Queens.
Like we're in Astoria, right near Kaufman Studios, where they filmed Sesame Street. It was a really cool place to be, like right next to the filming of Sesame Street at a Muppet event. Nevertheless, we get into the museum. I see Will there. Somehow, Will beat me to the fucking house, even though like he left after me.
Frantic
Um,
Ubering is what happened.
yeah, we took the
Frantic,
train.
lightning
And
fast Ubering.
the thing I want to point out with the lunch here, I'm not like here. I will take a free lunch any day of the fucking week. You can put anything in front of me. I'll mess that up. It was so funny to me because it was just like all of these people that we had just done the tour with kind of like awkwardly standing around a few tables, and it's like I'm trying to eat my little panini, but across from me is Rob Lake, and
I
it's
was
like
munching on my chicken panini like I had never eaten a thing before, and I was at the same time chatting it
Like,
up with Joe Hennis,
how
and
can I
Rob
be
Lake's right
normal
there,
right now?
like very like politely like nursing a caprese salad
Dude.
and a little Sprite. And I'm like,
I
oh,
felt so it wasn't act I'm being dramatic. It wasn't actually like an awkward experience, but it
it was
felt
no.
so funny to me to just be like munching on my little sandwich and I look over and it's fucking Rob Lake and Lucas Ross and then Joe had I'm just like,
It
okay,
was
I
just
can't
like
be
what a
normal right
scene.
now. I'm
Like you
like,
can't write this.
yeah, it's like it just it felt silly as fuck because it didn't it like it was just we're standing around like some like pop-up tables
Mm.
eating catered food. We're all like nobody's like we're all talking and stuff, but it kind of it's like this energy where it's like we're aware that you're important with the Muppets. You just held court and told us about your magical experiences growing up with the Muppets. You just told me about how you own his original banjo and you've been doing this for 30 years. How do I be normal in this fucking little like lunch setting?
You guys are great. Respect for you all. You're all awesome.
Deeply.
I cannot give you my full attention until I have destroyed three quite small chicken paninis in succession
Absolutely.
and
And
destroyed an entire quite small can of Sprite. That is
and
priority right now because I'm
absolutely.
dying.
Yeah, I
But
was so
from
hungry after that walking tour. Oh my God. All I had was like coffee and like a geek bar. That was like the two
we
things
should
I
have brought
had on my
snacks.
trip.
We should have prepared like should have got some trail mix. Should have got some granola
Next year
bars.
we're bringing
I'll
snacks.
be prepped next time. But it
I
was from there, from our little lightning fast lunch, got to have just like the briefest sort of jaunt around the exhibit. I would get to have a bit of a
barely any
longer
time.
visit tomorrow. But I got to take in the exhibit. Oh my goodness, how special to see these puppets. So,
Yes.
so wonderful. Made it back in time for the big screening. There was a special screening as part of this sort of like celebration as part of the ceremonies and it was a lot of fan submissions. And in fact, I think some of our friends and mutuals might have
Yes,
had
they
successful
were.
submissions in this sort of collaborative thing where it was very unofficially and not in any particular order, the top 70 Muppets slash Henson moments. And it was a big compilation of some really like iconic moments, stuff like the stuff that I had never seen or heard of before, like the LaChoy Dragon. That was news to
Yes.
me and I loved it and I'm obsessed with him. But then there was stuff like there was some songs in there and it was like, oh yeah, oh these cats are cooking, they're swinging. Particularly one that I got there were songs that I was like, oh my God, such a beautiful song. I have to take this in. Stuff like I'm going to go back there someday and Rainbow Connection and
Oh,
Magic
absolutely.
Store ending. It was like, wow, I just have to sit and take this in seats surrounded by all of like our lovely Muppet pals who had made it on time to that screening, including sat right next to me, mutual I met for the very first time, Jaden LeBran. Incredible
Yes.
guy, incredible guy.
My Janice plush right here is from Jaden. I bought this off of him at Museum of the Moving Image. Thank you, Jaden. This thing
Was
fucking kicked
not
ass.
expecting him to come until literally like days before I found out he was
Yeah.
going to be there. That
I
was really
have
special.
he was also somebody that I like have like I'm aware of his puppetry work and I'm like this guy's so
Mhm.
fucking cool and then he ended up being awesome to hang out with.
Yeah.
So as Will said, we got back to the museum. It was really cool to see how many people who weren't on the tour ended up showing up for this screening. It was like, oh wow, there was like 30 of us on the tour. Now it's like packed with Muppet fans.
Yeah.
Like every person in this museum's a Muppet fan. This 70 Moments screening. The list was created by, as I mentioned earlier, Craig Shemin, head of the legacy and trust of Jim Henson. We were sat, me, Will, and all of our Muppet pals, we were sat in the very front row
Mhm.
and getting to watch these 70 moments. As Will pointed out, there was a lot of things that I had never seen, a lot of things that I knew very well. I was so beyond taken with emotion because not only was this whole theater filled with Muppet fans, I'm here with my pals who I cherish dearly, who we all share this special interest. Oh, sorry. Ah, ah, burps happening. But
Blooper.
yeah, cutting off my emotional rant here. Like, we are all in this beautiful, intimate space where we're in the front row, surrounded by all of my good pals who are sharing this thing with me. I got so emotional, and there's specific points in there that really, really hit for me. The thing that made me just bawl, the thing that made me curl over and cry was seeing the end of Fraggle Rock on the big screen with everyone there. Our buddy, I'm like getting emotional thinking about it. Our buddy Joe, like he leaned over and wrapped his arm around me, and was just like, "Oh, Max, it's okay." I'm just like, "I know," and just
Oh my
Fraggle
God.
Rock, getting to see like with all of you, that made me cry deeply. So many moments made me cry, and it felt wonderful to not only see these on the big screen because Muppet stuff deserves to be watched on the big screen, but two, it felt so special because this again was fan submissions. These everyone in this room contributed to putting this thing together and getting to share in this thing that we all have gotten so much out of Henson. We're all learning new stuff of Henson. It felt so special. We're all sharing this beautiful thing together, and I would not trade, I've said this a few times, I wouldn't trade this for the world. Getting to just be in that theater with my friends, crying about the Muppets. Oh, that was incredible.
Truly, truly. Like there were some moments, and I will fully throw my hands up and say, on about 9 to 13 different occasions, I was a mess of tears.
Yeah,
The
same.
notable
There was
ones
multiple
specifically,
cries.
there were very notable ones. Ones where I had to clutch my boyfriend very tightly. One that had us both going was Big Bird, Find Out About
Dude,
Mr.
the Mr.
Hooper.
Hooper one.
That was the first time I'd ever seen that, by the way. That
Oh,
was
really?
that was raw for me.
Dude,
As I've said previously, I was not like raised on the Sesame Street,
yeah.
so that was a fuck me. I Because I enjoy Big Bird by proxy because that's Mikey's favorite Muppet, aside from Gonzo. But
Yeah.
Jesus, oh my
It,
goodness, I could not handle that. And it
yeah.
was the contrast of crying over Big Bird and Mr. Hooper, and then just like being like so like soothed and at peace by Cantus Fraggle, like
Yes. Oh, a
singing his
beautiful moment.
beautiful music to me getting so fucking pumped for the King of Eight. God,
Yes! Oh,
I was
King of
ready
Eight
to
was
I was
so
about ready
good.
to get out of my seat and bust a move. I'm the King of Eight, and I'm here to
I'm the
eat.
King of Eight!
Everything here has to equal eight.
Like getting to see I loved King of Eight specifically because like it showed how Sesame Street really had so many awesome forms of like practical effects and puppetry, stop motion, and that's so cool.
Oh, speaking of that,
But it was like this up and down emotional roller coaster because as Will said, you're crying over Mr. Hooper's death, and then next thing happens, the Troy Dragons come in and knocking over
oh, the
everything.
Joy
Oh,
Dragon,
the Troy Dragon! And
and
like
it was
I was
yeah.
so just going through every range of emotions and a scene that I really love that I had never seen before. And like I'm a big Sesame Street fan. Like Grazed on is my favorite like thing that Henson ever was involved with. That there was a scene in there about Ernie and Bert trying to go to bed and Ernie's like trying to count sheep. And like
Oh my
I
God.
had seen previous ones like that, but again,
Oh my
bringing up
God.
Tim Robinson, it felt like a modern sketch. It felt like a well-written modern comedy sketch where these lambs start carrying
Who
Bert
was
out
gonna
of the
even
room,
carry
and he just starts going like, "Ernie, the lambs are carrying
him?
me out."
Help, help.
Ernie, I know you're singing, but the lambs are actually like I'm getting really scared.
This has gone so far past what I'm comfortable with.
Like the way that Bert is characterized to react, he's not just like a straight man reacting to like other Muppet antics. It's like he's not just reacting, it's like he's always getting physically and emotionally affected by all of the other Muppet antics. That it's not just Ernie, why are these lambs here? It's Ernie, the lambs are
It's
taking
like,
me.
Ernie,
Ernie,
God help me, the lambs are taking me away.
Ernie, I have no idea where these lambs are coming from, and they're now I'm gone. Ernie,
It's
Ernie.
I just oh my God. That's why I love Bert and Ernie so much because it is just Rage Baiter and Rage Bait E, but the Rage Bait E
Yes.
has to suffer like Muppet level antics rage baiting.
And like the fact that because like what I love like when Kermit is the straight man, he's like so like I feel like so used to the Muppet antics where he doesn't
He's
like
desensitized. He's
he's
had enough.
desensitized. Bert lets it emotionally affect him every single time, and
He
it's so
never
funny.
learns, and that's why I love him. But
And
this,
so
yeah,
yeah,
this screening was such like as Mike said, a range of emotions. It was such a roller coaster ride. But then we got out of that. Something that happened just before the after party though was that I had spoken to Lucas Ross
Yes.
previously in the day, and we got into talking. He found out through one means or another that that day was my birthday. He gifted me something absolutely incredible. And I've talked a little bit about
This
this
is
on my
so
socials.
cool. This is
He
so
gifted
cool.
me a banjo string from one of the times that he provided Kermit's banjo performance. The time specifically being the March 2024 performance with Willie Nelson.
Oh, that's so cool.
Like he signed and dated it, everything, so it's all like authenticated. And like I can I like I oh, I had it preserved in a frame.
That
My
is
goodness, what a special gift. And just a testament to this man met me that morning and
like,
already is being so like just incredibly kind and sweet to me. There were a few others of my friends, I believe, also were given banjo strings. I believe Megan got one. Literally just yesterday, at the time of recording yesterday, my friend Copper Top Collector went to the Banjo Museum and they were
yeah,
also bestowed a banjo string. And it's like it's lovely to know that this is something that he like that he does. That's something special for people. And he's like being able to like dish out something special like that. It's just like, wow, what a group of people that we have all associated under this banner.
it's so beautiful that Lucas gave you that banjo string because I think he is so aware. He's somebody who has like built this career doing all this other music shit, but then he understands so deeply because he is a Muppet fan, like the
Mm.
importance of all this and how special that would be for a Muppet fan at your level to receive. Because like I cannot get over how incredible it was that people were just giving each other little trinkets and little special things. This whole weekend, we had people just giving away little awesome things. I'm sure I have one of these. Yes,
I should have brought something with
like
me, to be
like
fair.
Ryan Muppet printed 3D printed a bunch of like Muppet characters, and now I have like this
Little
little Rizzo bust.
We got a
And
little
like
Rizzo bust on for those
people were
watching on
just
camera once
giving
more.
away trinkets. So, sorry, fuck you, audio listeners, because you can't see this. Like, our buddy Ashley Petrified Muppet made this awesome Jim Henson sticker for his birthday. Just this whole weekend, it really emphasized how like people were just so fucking cool and just giving away things because they were like, we're all sharing in this beautiful experience. There was no exclusivity, there was no gatekeeping. It was just like, here, take a Rizzo. Enjoy your
There was no
Rizzo
sense of
now.
like clickiness. There wasn't like, oh, we're the real Muppet fans and we're like keeping our distance from you. It was
Yeah.
just
And I
like
was
even folks like we had an established friend group, but just like everybody was interacting with everyone, and it was like
which
there was no, as Mike said, no gatekeeping, no sense of like, oh, we're the real Muppet fans, because in a lot of online spaces, you get folks like that. Yes, you do.
I was
And
worried going into it that it would be kind of clicky in the sense of like I'd go there and there's people who have been going to this tour for like years and
mm,
years and years. And I'm like, am I like intruding on their thing? But then like talking to people like well, I'll get into it as we like get into the second day here, is that Joe Hennis pulled us aside as we were leaving the last day of the MOMI and talked about how this specific year felt so special and felt like such an incredible time because like everyone who came this year brought such special energy and wanted to be friends and wanted to hang out and just do all these things where I'm very proud of every person who came on to this like Muppet weekend for being willing to be social and put yourself out there and being willing to like be in this community. It was really, really incredible.
yeah, and I think that's really a testament to like I think over the past couple of years, things have kind of changed in like Muppet spaces, especially with just sort of like
Absolutely.
how sort of how much it's blossomed online, how much we are sort of like really building a sense of community now because there's certain folks in Muppet online spaces that would have
I've
it.
been avoiding saying his name and I've had to like say like
I'm just not gonna say it. I'm
I've
like
had to like
those who know know. Basically,
multiple times in this episode.
we're just kind of in an online renaissance in terms of the Muppets right now, where there's a
Yes.
lot of new folks, people like myself and Max, and folks like Michaela, who are very new to this sort of world. But folks are taken in like we've been here the whole time.
So kind and so just like such a wonderful community. And I so we got off of the 70 moments and then we head to Pig Beach.
Oh my
Pig Beach
God,
is
Pig Beach.
okay.
Wow.
This was what we can call the Muppet after party, and it
Yeah.
truly was that. It was like I had no expectations about this. Honestly, Will and I were like, because it was Will's birthday that day,
Yeah.
we were low key thinking of like ditching a little early so we could go do the. So
Sure,
glad I
baseball
didn't do
bounce.
that.
No way would I
I
go.
would never have given up being at Pig Beach. Pig Beach is a really cool bar that is near the Museum of the Moving Image, and every year they like work with them to like rent out the space. We had karaoke. It was like I didn't know what to expect. And like I'm not trying to be like, yeah, I'm like a party guy. I party all the time. Like, but like I like going out. I like going to like social events. I like going to a bar. I'm a bartender. It was like a lit time. It was a sick experience. Like that was one of the best social events I've been to like in a long time.
Well, that's a really fun contrast because I'm not really a party person. I don't like go out clubbing. I don't. I tend to like sort of like a little quiet, cozy bar. If I do go out, I
Love
don't. I
it.
hardly ever drink. My
Very respectable.
God, what a great time I had. I think that's the most I've ever drunk publicly. Um,
Ha!
I've never done karaoke that wasn't in a private room. And I was there really badly warbling Sabrina Carpenter in front of all of these people whose respect I had to lose. And folks were cheering. And oh
Yeah.
my goodness, the folks were doing like bizarre duets with each
Everyone
other.
was doing like there was a lot of Muppet songs, songs that were on the Muppet Show. Just everyone didn't feel embarrassed. Everyone was just so chill with each other that we all felt comfortable diving in and doing this freaking karaoke. Like I ended up singing and like I was so focused on the singing. I got videos and people showed me after that freaking Brandon, Sesame Puppeteer, was like puppeteering the puppet I brought. And then like I got to sing and then I got to drink more and I got to party and like I was a little worried that I was like, oh, am I gonna like be that guy who gets too fucked up and embarrasses himself in front of all these people that he respects? And I was like, nope, because every person here is partying. It literally felt like all of these people that I looked so forward to and look up to. I'm like, damn, I'm at a bar getting lit with Heather Henson. Like, what?
What? And that was really a testament to the folks running this as well, because Joe Hennis and Heather Henson were there the entire time, like till the end of the till they were literally like the event, your event allocated time is over. We literally have to ask you to leave the bar. Not like we were getting kicked out of the bar because we caused trouble, but it was like, please
You guys have been here
vacate
a
the
long
premises.
ass time.
They were there the entire time. And it got to the point where everybody was doing like individual karaoke and like fuck me. Some of these people were incredibly talented. We had like
Yeah,
Jaden, who's a voice actor, so we
yeah.
knew it was gonna be like doing Nightmare Before Christmas. That was crazy. Him and
Leah
Brandon doing
was
that old black magic from Sam and Friends while Brandon was doing the puppetry. That was so funny.
so good.
Jake
Leah,
pulling
Electric
out
Man pins.
pipes like hell.
Jake, Muppet
Um
Stuff with Jake. He fucking shut the house
you can
down
tell who did
singing.
theater. You can tell
Yeah,
which among us
he
did who
he
among us did
sang
theater.
like Frank Sinatra
That
with
was
the
old.
guy who was running the karaoke, and they truly shut the whole venue down.
Class act, by the way. I
Yeah,
screamed
Detroit.
dare in like the most exaggerated English accent I could, just to as like that was my one tool that I had. But by the end of the night, like a song was coming up, we were all doing it. Like Sesame Street theme, Muppet Show. Ended up being Fleetwood Mac. There is video of like all of our major friend group screaming The Chain by Fleetwood Mac, and then
Yes!
halfway through the panning around, Heather Henson will just be there also screaming and like throwing her hair back. And it was just like, wow, what like genuinely just such like a crazy good, but also like safe and like comfortable party atmosphere.
It
Just
was
like,
so like
wow.
I cannot believe that it was not only such a fun experience, but we felt so comfortable. Like yes, we had our main friend group there, but every person was like getting so into it. All these people that I just met that morning, all singing and dancing and like what was so cool is that Heather is such a person that like I would fully not blame her if she was like, I don't need to be here. Like, I've been
Mm.
hosting all weekend. I've been doing all of these things. I just hosted the walking tour. Like, I would not blame her if she just wanted to like have a night to herself. The fact that she was there, our buddies, Sam and Ashling, they like convinced Heather, like, hey, you gotta sing the Muppet Show theme song with us.
Yeah.
And it was like I think I'm underselling and understating how insane of an experience it was. I have the videos and I'll post them to Instagram of us literally singing like hitting the beats of the Muppet Show, the dun 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 dun,
Oh,
with
doing like the
Heather's
like the big
dancing.
like the head thrashing thing at the
Every
end.
person's dancing. It was just, it felt so safe, so comfortable, and like truly one of the best like after parties I've ever been to. It was so lit. Like
Genuinely the best party I've ever attended, like
that
of
was so fun.
all
Like,
time.
and the fact that like Heather stayed late, Joe Hennis, like all of these people stayed late. It was like
Party animals.
they like
Party animals.
they know how to party. Like they know how to
They
get lit. It was crazy.
And just like after this most incredible after party, just like going crashing at the Muppet House for a little bit, having a New York slice just before we went home, doing the last of like some folks had some lovely birthday gifts to give me, which was just
Ah,
like and just ending the night on that note, it was like what a special birthday. Just to make it on a really selfish note, genuinely the best birthday I've ever had.
yay! I'm so glad. I'm so glad it was an amazing birthday, and I'm so glad that like Saturday was such an insane kickoff and we did so much stuff. So after we experienced that incredible after party at Pig Beach, we all went to our respective Muppet residences, our Muppet abodes, got some much needed sleep because Sunday was also absolutely jam-packed with Muppet stuff.
As much as Saturday was absolutely chock full, Sunday had its fair share. And it started a little bit later, like the actual proceedings of everything, than Saturday, which was a bit of a saving grace because Saturday was a bit of an early morning start because we had to sort of like get up and at 'em and get to Central Park and get ready for a
We
walk.
cannot miss this tour. Like,
Sunday, the museum opened at 11, and that was when the swap meet started. But something that I did not know about the MOMI on the Saturday, because I kind of rushed in to get myself a panini. Something I did not
good.
know was that something very cool that the Henson Foundation did in partnership with the MOMI for this event was that they had a lot of stuff archived, a lot of old stock it's just sort of taken up space in a storeroom, and they donated quite a lot of it in conjunction with this event to sell at the Momi gift shop.
I
And
missed
oh
it
my
completely.
goodness, I missed my chance to get something good there because
Same.
there was some beautiful, beautiful stuff there. There were a whole bunch of vinyl records of like old Muppet soundtracks and
Follow
Sesame
that
Street
bird on
soundtracks.
vinyl.
The Muppets Take Manhattan on vinyl. I had it in my hands. I
They
nearly popped
had
it.
dead stock Muppet magazines. Like,
Old Muppet magazines. They had old little applause Kermit dolls. They
yeah.
had just like a whole bunch of stuff. Oh my God, I was so close to getting Muppets Take Manhattan on vinyl if it wasn't $100.
Mm.
First thing I did when I got into the Momi on Sunday was went into the gift shop because I heard that they had stuff in there, but I hadn't seen it with my own eyes yet. Went in there, oh my goodness. Had it in my hands. I was like, how much is this? Oh, it's $100.
Oh,
Oh,
cool, 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 cool,
thank you
cool,
very
cool,
much for
cool.
telling me. This is not going to be my first purchase of the day because there's a whole swap meet in a room over there, and I'm planning to spend a little bit of money.
So yeah, as Will said, we had a definitely later start to the day, which was much needed after like
Mhm.
how much walking we did yesterday at
But
the
to be fair, you had a lot more prep than some people to go through, though, for a particular reason.
that's the thing. Okay, shout out, biggest shout out to Will's boyfriend, Mikey, because Mikey has also done a lot of really sick cosplay shit, and he is really good at makeup and really good at like getting someone to look like something else. So my big goal on Sunday, if you're not aware of how Muppet Weekend goes, Saturday is the walking tour, Sunday is the costume contest. So,
Hmm.
I did not know Joe Hennis was hosting this one, but he dressed up as Uncle Traveling Matt, which
Oh
was
my,
so sick.
iconic, by
And
the way, this diva.
I I basically dressed up as Miss Piggy for all of Sunday. I had the wig. You can see it on my Instagram. I have like the whole wig. I have the dress. I was the world's tallest Miss Piggy in those heels. It was incredible. It was so like gender affirming to be able to like feel her energy even for a day, to be able to like just feel and embody that courage that she always had, that body positivity, every single thing about Piggy that she gives off to the world. I just to absorb that even for a little bit was incredible. And Mikey helped me get ready and he got me all gussied up and shit and like I spent the whole Sunday at Museum of the Moving Image fully dressed up as Miss Piggy, like fully being her. And it was
Full
incredible. Like
glam.
I had so many people coming up and just giving me such nice compliments and so many like nice things to say. But it just for me, it was so beyond just like, hey, I'm dressed up as Piggy. It's like, oh, I get to feel her femininity and her just badass womanhood for just like a little bit. And it was really fantastic. And the swap meet, because Will brought that up, basically it was like this, they took out a whole like room in the MOMI and vendors with vintage Muppet goods and Muppet collections and stuff and homemade Muppet goods, art, replicas, plushes, stuff like that. Everyone just laid out in this area and there was just sell, buy, sell, trade. Get your Muppet
Wow.
stuff.
Yeah,
We're gonna
genuinely
kind of,
what an insane environment. Because I have never
yeah,
been to a swap meet of anything of this is my first like real big like thing that I've collected for. So like this was my first ever swap meet and oh my goodness, an American swap meet as well. No offense, y'all do everything quite big and dramatic.
yeah.
So this was like, oh my goodness me, what am I
It
getting myself
was
into?
insane because like I showed up pretty much an hour late. Everyone showed up at 11. I showed up at 12 with Mikey. What the fuck? Sorry, I was getting a call on this computer. I was like, what the hell? What the fuck? But I came a little later and I was getting a little worried because it was like, oh my God, like is all the good stuff gonna be gone because like everyone's here early for it and there's all these collectors. No, the sheer magnitude of Muppet stuff that was there, like you could have spent the entire day just going around and looking at people's collections and I can say this, like, I really am not like, I don't spend that much money usually on collecting Muppet stuff. That went out the fucking window that weekend. I
Oh
dropped like
yeah.
$300 on just various Muppet items.
And you know
Like,
what? As you should. It's like a when in
as
Rome
I
type
should
thing.
have. Like, as I pointed out, I got this Janice from Jada, and I got an Eden Kermit doll. I got one of those slimy replicas from Axe Personified. Chris Stoltz of the Muppet Stuff Museum.
I was gonna say
I
we've said the words Muppet stuff quite
a
a lot
lot.
in this episode, but I think we should shout out because I believe that Chris is one of the heads of organizing this swap meet. And
Yes,
not only that, but my goodness, what an impressive stall that I will
it
outwardly say I copped quite a few things from.
I bought a lot from his store. Shout out to Chris for like getting the swap meet together. And what was really cool is that he was also in charge of Craig Shemin's personal collection in terms of the stuff Craig wanted to part ways with. So like friends of ours got press kits from like the Muppets at Walt Disney. I got like press stuff from the Wubulous World of Dr. Seuss. It was stuff where it was so behind the scenes and shit that you could really only get from Craig. That was awesome. Shout out to Chris for like running that booth.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna like kind of gloss over the swap meet a little bit because while it was fun, it truly was just kind of like buy and
We
sell
we bought
Muppet
stuff.
stuff.
We purchased things. There were
We
stalls.
purchased things.
I nearly got goaded by Jaden into purchasing his Kermit phone, but I didn't. I
Sophie
steeled
and her
myself
mom
and I
ended
didn't
up
buy.
buying that.
And it turns out the two things that I would like, the two expensive things that I was like, "Ooh," about getting, but didn't in the end, ended up going and getting bought by two of my pals. One of them, the Muppets Take Manhattan record was bought by my pal LFK Man, who ended up
Yes,
having, yeah,
Leela,
yeah,
Leela.
got their hands on the vinyl,
I
which
met
you know
Leela
what?
at Muppet Vision 3D, and it was so cool to see her
Oh
again
hell yeah.
at frickin' Muppet Weekend. But yeah, sorry, not to cut you off.
No, so good, so good. So they got their hands on the record, and the Muppet phone ended up going to Sophie, my heart's pineapple, and I spoke with them a little bit about it for a reason I'll get to when we get to the after party. But they got to tell me at length about like them getting their hands on the phone and how much they love the phone, and I'm like, this went to the right place.
Yeah,
One, after cramming my bags to get
there's
home,
no way you would
eventually,
have
there
been
was
able to
no way
bring
I was
that
getting
up.
that phone back in any kind of good condition because my
That thing's
bags were
fucking heavy. There's
crammed.
not a chance. Like,
Not a chance in hell. When it is meant to find me, it will find me. I'd like for that to be very soon because I like the
yes.
phone. But yeah, the swap meet was a great time. I got myself one of those Kermit Nuimos. My buddy Alyssa, who had the most insane costume that we'll get to the costume contest about,
Yeah.
got Piggy, like what like a book of some of the prints and sort of like detailing on Piggy's fine art photo shoot,
Ah,
like the
yes.
classical art references, and also got one of the little piggy banks that I was also gifted by Sam. Chris actually gifted me a Muppets, like a little Kermit ABC's book that was actually a missing component of a plush that I previously made a update about, which was very lovely
Hey.
of him to gift to me. But yeah, just everybody buying stuff up. Merch, art.
Yeah.
I got some really lovely stickers and magnets from Jody Ray Prince. Just
Yes.
loved to like you got some stuff from Will Carroll. Just
Yeah.
absolutely lovely. Everybody nabbing stuff, and we would find out a little bit more about that at the after party. But
Swap meet was great. Like
swap meet
it
was
was
great.
really
As
like
much fun as you can have at a swap meet.
it's exactly. It's like in comparison to all the other things that happened that weekend, obviously it's like this is just us like buying and selling shit, so it's definitely not as like insane as everything else, but getting to be able to get access to all of these insane Muppet collections and buy things that I have always wanted and added wanted to have in my collection was really special. And as we were at that freaking swap meet, the a full-on Skeksis walked into the room.
Big
Like,
old Skeksis, but with a slight twist, with, dare I say it, a bit of a festive
a
quality.
jolly
A
twist.
festive quality to him. A
The
little bit of a
Christmas
sort of,
Skeksis.
yeah,
Like
a little Santory vibe.
this dude who lives in New York, I'm totally blanking on his name because they also like shut down their Skeksis account on Instagram. But they built a literal like perfect replica of a Jim Henson Skeksis from the Dark Crystal as like a Santa Claus version and just took it all around the museum. And it was fucking cool. And that kind
So
of leads
fun.
me into like the costume contest part of this because this was the biggest part of
Mm.
uh Sunday.
Yeah.
I quickly before the contest started, I got some great photos of myself with Miss Piggy, dressed up as Miss Piggy, which was wonderful. But like we ended up going outside into the courtyard behind like the Museum of the Moving Image. And it was so chill. They had a live band playing Muppet songs, like jazz covers of Muppet songs.
Mm.
And when you kind of got everybody into this outside courtyard, it really put into perspective like, oh, there's a shit ton of people here. And not only is there a ton of people here, everyone is awesome and just basking in this incredible energy together. And to see all these people that I had like kind of seen throughout the weekend all in this one place and seeing so many cool costumes that we'll get into. Like I truly was touched by the Henson magic in that moment. The Rob Lake Henson magic hit
The
me.
Rob Lake, well, actually, Rob Lake, despite attending all of the festivities on Saturday, I didn't recall seeing him on Sunday. Very sad
And
times. Would love to have seen you again, Rob. But the costume contest was really special because it was like even people who weren't participating were just so engrossed and like supportive of everybody's costumes. There were folks in kind of low-key costumes like me. I had my sort of like little Kermit fit on. It was just sort of like a little 70s inspired-ish. Had a lovely crocheted collar made by my pal Dion. And just yeah, just sort of like casually Kermiting it up. Then there was sort of like there were folks who were like, oh, okay, yeah, you're about this. And it was folks like Max getting all glammed up for Piggy and Mikey who got who styled a wig and did makeup and hand painted a pepper shirt for Gonzo, which
the
like
Gonzo
whoa.
Pepper shirt,
He
insane.
oh my God, he ate with that. But then there was like the okay, you're wow. A little bit biased. My sister Liz, not my actual sister, but she's my sister. Liz found out there was a costume contest a few days prior to New York, and she works in costuming. She's a retired cosplayer, was one of the best, was top of her game when we're like pre-pandemic when like cosplay was sort of like really like heavily popular on social media. One of the greats. And again, I am biased because I love her a lot. But like, my goodness, has an incredible hand for costume making and handmade a showgirl, like a full-on Vegas showgirl, like Pamela Anderson, the last showgirl style Camilla, with a full-on
Insane.
like rhinestone bedazzled beak.
The
Oh my goodness.
feather
The feather, the
freaking
fan, like a full on like corset and just like build. Absolutely incredible costume, and everybody was eating it up as they
yes.
should.
And getting to like have my photos with Liz and myself just being these like glammed ass like Piggy and Camilla. That was insane.
It
That felt
was
so
so,
cool.
so good. But everybody who was in costume
Yes,
was just loving it. We had Sophie was there doing Animal. I was doing Kermit.
yes.
Max was
And her
doing
mom was
Piggy.
Janice. It
Mikey
was
was doing
like
Gonzo.
Janice and Animal.
Yeah, we had Michaela was doing Scooter with their
I'm
handmade
sorry.
Scooter jacket.
Alice, yes, the scooter jacket by Michaela was awesome.
But then we
Allison
the top that
dressed
oh
it
we're
up.
getting to the top three. We're getting to the top three because
I
we would
just
go through rounds where there would be five people at a time and they would like everybody would show off their costume and then everybody would vote for who their favorite was
with
in
like
a group.
applause.
And like there were three groups and they would each go to the top three for like the final judging. And in our group, Liz got it, obviously, as she should.
Yeah, I
And
wanted
then
Liz to win as well.
and then in the second group was Allison, in the third and last group was Allison's Safety Puppetry, who did Dave Goles, the
They
full-on
literally
fake beard
cosplayed
and
as Dave
everything.
Goles. It was insane.
It was so, so good. But
I
yeah,
just want
they,
to say, oh,
oh,
for that costume contest, it was such a cool thing to not only have all these people like cheering on our costumes and stuff, but the whole day of walking around with Liz, with her being Camilla and me being Piggy, it just felt so powerful. Like the way we walked into the museum in our fucking heels and these outfits,
mm,
like it felt so good to be that glammed up and to be in a space where everyone got it. Like everyone totally got it. And like, yeah, as Will said, different groups, Joe Hennis, there's videos of it. Joe will call someone up, describe their thing. Shout out to Michaela for helping me and being Scooter and helping me with my little performance. And it was just a great time, just great vibes all around. The contest ended up being won by a child dressed as Jim Henson, that was
I was
great.
gonna say, like, everybody was just kind of in acceptance. The second that we saw in the first group, there was a little kid with in a Jim Henson costume with a big fake beard, and he had the band, like the headband on and everything. Had a little handmade Kermit. The second that we saw that kid,
It was
every single person in that place knew that's our winner.
That
Like
was
that.
obvious because, like, obviously, like Liz, her costume was balls to the walls insane. I thought I was pretty fucking good up there too, but
Oh
like
yeah.
to see a kid like of this like newest generation, this like Gen Alpha shit, where they're just getting fed. Like, I know I sound like such like an old man yells at
You're
cloud
going,
right
you're having
now.
a boomer moment. We're
Having
having
my
a
boomer moment where it's
old
like
man
I
yells at cloud.
all these like all these kids nowadays, but it's like no, like kids genuinely are being fed some of the most like capitalist slop at the moment where shit that's made obviously lots of children's media in the past, like a lot of the great shows from the 80s and shit were literally made to sell toys. Like I understand that consumerism has been a part of children's media for a long time, but we're truly at the precipice, not only with AI, with fucking like just taking away any like all this beauty in it and stylization to do like just the most cheapest corporate thing. Children are not growing up in an era of good media. Besides like Bluey and shit, they're not growing up in a very good media era. And so to see a kid dressed up as Jim Henson, who totally was like there because they love the Muppets, not because their like parents were forcing them to do it. Because there was definitely a good amount of parents who were bringing their kids, and their kids did not give a shit about this like entire thing. But to see a kid get up there who unabashedly loved Henson the same way all of us did when we were little, it's just like it gave me so much hope that the Muppets will not only continue, but there is going to be Muppet fans forever because it appeals to everyone.
It really stirred up such like a strong emotion in all of us seeing it because he did the little voice as well for Kermit. The second that Joe, in his immaculate traveling Mac cosplay, by the way,
Oh,
put that
incredible.
mic on the kid, and he was so like visibly like nervous, even more so when he won as well. He was definitely like feeling the nerves of like being in front of all of these people, everybody cheering him on. But like yeah, to see such just like enthusiasm from such a young person. It was like the kids are gonna be all right type moment.
Yeah,
And I think
truly.
everybody in there kind of would have agreed. Nobody wanted to be the one who beat a little kid in a costume.
Yeah, okay. Here's the
Nobody
thing.
wanted that. First of all, the kid deserved to win.
He deserved to win.
Second of all, the second that there was a little kid in the top three, it wasn't going to be anybody else. Like,
Yeah, I like. I am not sitting here being like, what the hell? They gave it to the kid and not me? What the fuck?
No, I think
Like,
I spoke to Alyssa afterwards. She was like, I'm so relieved that they didn't
yeah,
give it to
dude,
me. I
if
was
they had
worried for a
given
second
it
they were
to
gonna give it
not
to
the
me.
kid,
That was the correct
because
answer.
it's like you'd feel like fucking Simon Cowell in like
Yeah.
America's Got Talent,
Imagine
where he's like,
being like the person to be like, yeah,
you suck,
yeah, I
actually. We're trying to
won.
find real talent, not because you're some kid.
Oh my God. But
It
no, it
literally,
was
like,
such
thank
a
God he won because, like, if Liz had won, if I had fucking won, it would have just been like, oh God,
yeah.
why did you give this to us over the child? Like, he just
But no, what
I
a
can't take away a win from a kid. Like, are you kidding me?
absolutely not. But what a special moment it was. And like it really sort of like everybody was really united under it because something that happened afterwards as well was that when he was announced winner, it started a huge chant across the whole crowd of Jim, Jim,
Jim,
Jim,
Jim,
Jim. And
Jim.
oh my God, what like because it genuinely felt like a moment that was so much bigger than him, so much bigger than all of us. And it was like, wow, we're really all sharing in Jim because it's like 70 years after like his influence really began,
It's
we still love him. We still love the man. There's little kids who were raised at a time where Jim was never even alive.
same,
I did not live at a time where Jim Henson also lived. And
same.
all of these young people and people who were alive during his time, all of us like united under this same love for him. It was like that became a moment that was bigger than all of us.
It
And it was like,
truly
wow.
it was beyond just like a costume contest. It really was this massive, poignant emphasis on everything Jim Henson stood for, the way he impacted all of these people. And exactly as Will said, it felt bigger than every single one of us. That it wasn't just us chanting and us cheering on Jim Henson. It was like we're all truly deeply celebrating everything he gave to the world. And after that costume contest ended, I got to have so many great conversations with people who had just saw Will and I on stage and shit, and ask us all about our like connection to the Muppets, wanting to know like how we got started with them, like wanting to know how we got obsessed with them. And I ended up talking to so many cool people after that. And there was a very specific cool person that
I
I
was
got to
gonna
talk
say,
to.
are we gonna get to it, Max? You got it.
I
You
think we
gotta.
have to.
You
I
got to.
genuinely like we've been sitting on this all podcast.
Hmm.
Like
Beating
we
around the
met.
bush, so to speak.
Do you want me to say it or do you want to say it?
I think it should be you. Come on.
I appreciate it. I after that costume contest ended, I out of the corner of my eye noticed this lady talking to Sophie's mom. And I all of a sudden it hit me. I was like, that's Rachel Hunt. Oh
Yes, it
my God.
was.
We got to hang out with Rachel Hunt this weekend. And for those of you who don't know, Richard Hunt was an incredible puppeteer and one of the original main Muppet performers with Jim Henson. He played Janice, he played Scooter, he played uh,
Sweetums. That's one
Squeedums.
for me because I love Sweetums.
Literally, like Richard Hunt was one of the greatest Muppet performers, and it was so like what is so important about Richard Hunt is that he did pass away, unfortunately, during the AIDS crisis. He was an openly queer, openly gay man living in New York during not only the height of the AIDS crisis, but also like this queer liberation that was happening. Read the book Funny Boy. Funny Boy is this autobiography that came out last year about Richard Hunt's life, and you can truly understand. We can never do his story justice in this like little podcast because it is that book is a window into a queer life that is often forgotten. Like he was seen by millions upon millions of people in the biggest show in the world and the biggest productions in the world, and not really many people outside of puppetry knew Richard Hunt. And part of that was because he was openly gay. And getting to meet his sister was such a special experience because it's like not only does she understand how impactful Richard's impact was on every single one of us here, but it felt like she was like it felt like this like I don't think obligation is the right word, but the vibe I was getting from her was like I have to be here because I know it'll be special for all of these people who were connected to Richard. Like our buddy Michaela, like she is the
Oh,
biggest Scooter fan of all time. Like both her and I, Richard Hunt is our favorite puppeteer. And I'm not gonna I love Richard Hunt so much. I'm gonna like pass it to her that she is like the biggest Richard Hunt fan. And she got to have this beautiful experience where Rachel, like when we have Michaela on, she can
I was
talk
gonna say
about it
that's
more
gonna be
too.
we're gonna let Michaela tell her story.
Yeah, let's say that. But she got to meet Rachel too and had this emotional experience. And like I got to go up to her in my little piggy outfit and she complimented me and it felt so good. And then I got to just talk to her about Richard and I got to tell her like the sister of this such hugely important, not only Muppet performer, but queer artist that has been the most impactful in my life. To get to tell her that and to let her know that Richard's work was that meaningful to me and so many people, it was so special. I would never trade that experience for anything. Rachel Hunt, if you were at all ever somehow listening to this, thank you for giving us this like the best weekend. And we'll get into other cool shit we did with Rachel that weekend, but like meeting her was insane.
That's genuine for such like an incredible weekend like that. Is my one regret. My one regret is not approaching to and talking to Rachel. And it was simply on the basis that there were a lot of folks who were coming up into her and talking to her, and I was like, I don't want to swamp her.
She did get pretty overwhelmed with people. Like
Yeah,
people were
it seemed
fucking
like a
swarming
lot of
her.
the second that people started to clock that she was there, she was getting a lot of folks coming up to her, and I didn't want to yeah, I didn't want to swamp her. I didn't want to add to that. I didn't want it to be like like overwhelm her
Even
because
if you
naturally
didn't,
because like as somebody who is like a practicing puppeteer and is also queer, Richard Hunt is an incredible inspiration, and actually in the Momi gift shop, I actually did purchase like their last copy of Funny Boy that they have.
oh, that's awesome.
And that's something that I'm incredibly proud to own and incredibly excited to read. But Richard Hunt, we're gonna do we're
A
planning to
Richard
do
Hunt
like puppeteer
episode.
highlights as episodes on the podcast. And we're gonna do a Richard Hunt episode.
Like
So I get to talk
Will and
about
I
it
are
again.
both queer aspiring puppeteers, and it's like Richard's work was so impactful to us, and like we
Yeah.
cannot understate how meaningful his work was. So getting to meet Rachel was just so special.
My one regret was not. But we are mutuals on social media now, and I've sort of like spoken to her sort of very briefly. And
And we got to hang out with her and shit. Even if you didn't like have that one-on-one, we ended up hanging out with her in a group. Like
so the after party of Sunday was a little different from Saturday because it was effectively the same thing, but with an open mic live band. That
live karaoke with Lucas Ross and the same band from the Momi jamming out, playing Muppet songs
they
live.
were great.
They cooked. Those cats cooked.
They were cooking, they were swinging. It was at this point where I started to talk to folks a little bit more about the swap meet because I ended up making a really obnoxious long video where
No, it was great.
I pulled everybody aside one by one and made what I set out to be the biggest mup date ever and just had everybody talk about their favorite item that they had got over the weekend. And it's probably my favorite video that I've ever made for
I
socials
love it.
because it was such like a really good insight into sort of like what everybody's like joys and priorities are in terms of their collections because a lot of us are Muppet collectors and everybody got had such like varied items that were their favorites. Some of them had like it was an incredibly rare piece, like the Kermit phone, or it was an incredibly meaningful piece to them, like Max got the Eden Kermit doll. And some of them, it wasn't even just like a crazy big or crazy rare or even vintage piece. Like for example, Michaela's favorite pin that they got was just a little handmade pin of Scooter, simply because it was on Chris Muppet Stuff Stall, and they had gone away to a screening. They come back and it was gone, and they were really upset about that. But it turns out that
Understandable.
the only reason it was gone was because I had picked it up for Michaela to give to her.
Yes.
And it was stuff like that. And it was just like, wow, what like a beautiful insight into what everybody prioritizes in terms of their Muppet collection. And just
It
like
was like
such a special thing to have assembled and for so many people to have wanted to be a part of. I was like, wow, I really do feel very connected with these folks in the act of making this stupid 3-minute video.
it
Just like
literally was the most beautiful window into other every person's love and experience with the Muppets that each person, while we all share this connection from loving Henson's work, each person has a different connection to that and different things that they grew up with or that they hold and cherish deeply to them. And I love Will's video on that update because like it emphasized how we all come from these different backgrounds and have different priorities, but we all share this love. And going into Pig Beach again, like like we had gone the night before, and so we were expecting like a party again. But like I was not like the first night was definitely more like just party vibe. Like we're going hard on that. But second night, having that live band and you could just get up on stage, request a Muppet song and sing, it was just nuts. Like every person was not only just feeling so comfortable, but everyone was jamming out like crazy. People were like singing so well. People were doing awesome shit. I ended up singing Wembley Fool with Michaela up
Yeah,
there,
you
which was the
did.
awesome
Yeah,
last
you
song of the
did.
night. Like,
And oh my goodness, I think I have to say, even though I chickened out of doing a song, my favorite part of that open mic was something that I genuinely felt like we could not believe it was happening in front of us as it was happening.
just
Rachel got up on stage and accompanied by Richard Michael Gomez doing the green owl and our buddy Britt Miss Leisure doing their
yes,
little Camilla
yeah,
puppet.
Brittany.
Rachel performed Rockin' Robin, made famous by Janice of Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem, made famous by Richard Hunt. And oh my goodness, it was something that was so like, it was one of those moments where it was like so incredibly emotionally resonant, but not a single person could bring themselves to cry because we were all fucking jamming.
We were going crazy. And it was like, it was one of those experiences that, like, when I think about after Momi weekend, what I was expecting going into it, all the things that I had been planning to do, you could not have told me beforehand, oh, you're going to be at a bar getting crazy, singing Rockin' Robin with Rachel Hunt, your fucking hero's sister who is there, just like being a part of this beauty and this legacy. Like, it was incredibly emotionally like poignant experience to be there watching Rachel Hunt sing a song that, as Will said, was popularized by freaking Richard Hunt. But like it was really a moment where I felt like this is why I'm here. Because in no other part of my daily life, when I'm just bartending here in Seattle, just doing shit, when am I gonna go into a karaoke bar with a live band and be there jamming out with my Muppet pals, Rachel Hunt, and all of these cool people? Like, I will never forget that experience, and I will never forget how we watched Rachel, and then we got to like oh, we all linked arms, like we all like got
Oh, the
together and like
last song, we were
sang
all
last song.
swaying. God, yeah. Just
God, that
like
was incredible.
I didn't go as hard as I did on the night before, thankfully, because I couldn't have handled 2 nights of that.
Oh,
But it
I
was
went
just
just
such.
we went the Muppet House went even harder.
Oh yeah, and you know what? As you should. But it was like yeah. You know what? It was just so poignant and such a beautiful way to end it. And I got to say my goodbyes to everybody who I was
Yes.
saying goodbye to at that night, folks like Heather and Joe and
Mhm.
Lucas. And it was just like, wow. Like I felt so connected with these people who I'd met a day ago,
Yeah.
days ago. And just yeah.
I was
And there was
very
so many moments throughout this that just solidified the fact that this was ultimately the best decision I could have made because I was really sort of like teetering on going to this or not, but just because
thank God you came.
I honestly thank God I came because
Like
it was
I would
such
have
yeah.
this weekend would not have been as fun if you weren't there. Like, thank you for making the effort to come out. And also, like, as Will just brought up about saying goodbye to people, because we are kind of getting to the end of like our Momi weekend experience here.
Oh, I don't want it to end a
I
second
know
time.
I'm reliving how painful it was to end, but like as we were saying goodbye to people that we had met a few days ago and we had just spent all this time with, it felt so emotional to say goodbye to all of these people and like realizing that it was like, oh, we just had this fantastic weekend. This is going to just be the future of engaging with Muppet things. Like us all being there together, saying these goodbyes. Like I was like we took so long getting back to the Muppet house and getting in an Uber because Heather kept talking to us. Heather kept like wanting to engage. Like Heather wanted to hear about the podcast. Like
Oh,
Joe was
if
like,
there's any chance that she's listening, Heather, genuinely, like
we
you
love
and
you.
talking with you has really spurred us on to getting and filming this and recording it and putting it out there because it's genuinely we want to share our experiences with the wider community now. We want to be talking about this and sharing with folks and having folks hear what we have to say and maybe taking at least something small away from it if we've said anything of worth.
Like
Which I believe there's something in here. There's something to take away from this, maybe. But it's yeah, it's just it was such a weekend of community and of sharing, of real community and of real connection. And it really felt like we'd found the kind of connection that a little green frog was singing about in the
Yes.
70s.
Everything that the Muppets embody, everything about like just having a community of people who are all diverse and all different, but share the same values of love and acceptance. It truly felt very, very like, and the emotions were emphasized so greatly from everything that the Muppets have talked about, everything that Jim Henson preached. We were embodying that weekend. Saying goodbye to all of these people felt so emotional because it's like Muppets brought us together. And through that, we became actual, genuine friends. And we became people who have had these incredible experiences together. And the fact that that's exactly what Jim Henson was putting out to the world, and we got to experience that, embody that, and feel that with everybody. Momi weekend was just one of the best weekends of my life. And if you are listening to this podcast and you didn't go, I highly, highly encourage, like, please go to Momi weekend because it was one of the best weekends I've ever had in my life,
I got to
genuinely.
see you next time because
Yeah, like you
I've
better
got it.
be
Oh
there.
my God. Just, yeah. I've got very emotional about it on a public platform before, so I'm going to desperately try not to do it again. But it was
Go for
genuinely
it.
some of the best time that I've spent in the company of friends. It was the most special birthday I've ever had, and just for a community that I only joined this year
I
through
mean, you,
partial fault of Max.
nah,
Um, just like wow, what a environment to feel so accepted and cared about and wanted, and even by people that you barely know or people that you just met. Just
it
there's
felt,
really nothing like being a Muppet,
yeah,
being involved with this group of people. Just wow, how special. I think it's so special that I kind of don't want to leave this podcast on the end note of questions. I also think we've yapped for quite a long enough amount of
I was
time.
about to say, we have so long.
This has been a very special episode, I think, because we've had something very special to talk about. And so I kind of want to leave it on more of an emotional note.
I was feeling the same way because we love involving the community here. Like in future episodes, we are gonna make it a trend to continue like asking questions because we do really love seeing what you guys want to hear from us.
We'll get you
But
next time.
get you
We'll
next
get
time.
questions in next time because
Ah, steal your
speaking of
questions.
community, our next episode, I believe we are planning to have our first ever guest.
Yes, we are. And
Um,
I
pulling the nepotism card here because we've mentioned him a few times. It's my partner,
yes,
Mikey.
it
We're gonna have my
is.
boyfriend on the stream because we're gonna have a very special, very spooky discussion because he is somewhat of a heavy enthusiast in Disney's Haunted Mansion. So next episode, we're gonna talk about a certain Muppet project involving Disney's Haunted Mansion. If you can guess what it is,
I wonder what it is.
if you can
Yeah.
guess what it is, then we'll be very impressed. But
Next week, Mikey will be on the podcast. I'm very excited for that. And I'm glad we're ending this podcast on like an emotional note here because like Momi weekend was one of the most special experiences of my life. Getting to see Will, getting to see all of our other pals, like I would never trade that for the world. And the fact that we from this weekend are now doing this podcast and felt so much inspiration and confidence. It's like dang, now we're 3 episodes in. Like, we're getting Mikey on there. We have a whole slate of plans for the upcoming months. Like, I'm very excited to record more episodes, and I hope you guys all enjoy them.
It's so exciting to be so excited about a project like this, and we're really hoping that you guys get excited about this as well, not just for the sake of like, oh, engage with us socially, but like, again, we want to share this stuff with you.
Yes, we just love the Muppets, and
So thank you
I
for
agree.
allowing us a format where we can share with you.
Thank
Thank you so much for listening to this. If you've
thank you
listened all
for
the way through,
listening.
we're massively impressed, and we'll see you
Have
next
an
time.
Yeah, see you next time, guys. Again, come to Muppet Weekend next year. Go to Muppet events, and I hope you are just as excited as we are to continue doing this podcast because I have so much I'm looking forward to with Will, and this is great. Have an amazing rest of your day, y'all.
Thank you for listening. Bye bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.